Good evening. Today is Thursday, December 11th, and I will call this Pleasanton Unified School District Board meeting to order. I get to use the gavel tonight for one more night, so there we go. All right, so welcome. We're going to actually start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Vice President McCaughey to lead us.
All right, everyone stand to the flag. I pledge allegiance.
All right. One quick second here. All right, so as per normal, we opened closed session in the boardroom at 5 o'clock and then reconvened upstairs. There's only two items for readout tonight, which is items 1B and 1C. And let me just grab my notes.
Do not want to introduce ourselves?
Oh, yes, that would be good. See, I'm already getting off script. All right, let's start with the introductions. Assistant Superintendent Graywell.
Good evening, Namarta Graywell, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Ahmed Shigol-Slami, Assistant Superintendent of Business.
Good evening, Ed DiLazzo, Deputy Superintendent, Educational Services.
Good evening, Elizabeth Gershich, Student Board Trustee.
Hello, Mary Jo Carrion, Trustee Area 1.
Good evening, Charlie Jones, Trustee for Area 4.
Good evening, Lori Walker, Trustee for Area 2.
Good evening, Trustee Kelly McCaughey, serving as Vice President this year.
All right, Trustee Justin Brown, Area 5, serving as President this year for another hour.
Good evening and welcome, Maurice Geisel, Superintendent, and welcome to everyone watching online. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lenita Villasenor, and I am the Executive Assistant to Dr. Geisel on the board.
All right, now I get to report out on closed session action. So thank you, former President Carrion, for that correction. So we had two items for readouts from closed session. The first was closed session item 2A.B. The board voted unanimously 5-0. Motion by Trustee McCaughey and seconded by Trustee Carrion to reject tort claim 662-775. And then on closed session item 2A.C, the board voted unanimously 5-0. Motion by Trustee Jones and seconded by Trustee Walker to reject tort claim 664-361. All right, now moving on to the approval of the agenda. Any requests to change tonight? Anything on tonight's agenda? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. All right. First and seconded. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 And aye for myself, so that passes 6-0. Next up is the board Q&A. So the board Q&A is an attempt to improve the efficiency and transparency of our board meetings. This allows trustees to ask questions on tonight's agenda in advance. That is consolidated and published so that all trustees can see each other's questions and you as the public can see what those questions are. Those are posted under item 4.B and available online. And now we move on to recognitions. So one of the things we tried to do this year is change up the format a little bit and have an opportunity to highlight and see some of the great work being done at our individual site school level. So tonight we're going to start with Harvest Park Middle School.
So I'd love to introduce this, President Brown. Our very proud principal, Russell Campese, is going to ask his staff, his students to come up and talk a little bit about and spotlight all the great things happening at Harvest Park and the Mighty Patriots. So, Mr. Campese, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you tonight. I'm Russell Campese, principal at Harvest Park.
Make sure the microphone's on, Russell.
All right. Looks green.
Thank you.
I need to lean down more? Okay. I have the problem of height. All right. So parent, teachers, and students will be talking about our school tonight, the basics. We've been around since 1968. We have 105 staff members, 45 teachers, well, 43, 9 of whom are alums of the school because the park is that awesome. And we have, for the third year in a row, gone up substantially in our overall test scores. So with that, I want to talk about the awesome of our school site, and I think the students would do a great job from leadership, along with their leadership teacher, Greg Dancourt. So why don't you guys come on up to give a brief overview of our school site.
Good evening. I'm Greg Dancourt, leadership teacher at Harvest Park. I brought my ASB officers today to highlight some of our successes we have had at school, along with in our community. So have fun, girls.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm president of Harvest Park Middle School.
And I'm Kiana, vice president.
We're excited to share how our leadership class is making a difference at our school.
This year we collected over 6,500 cans during our canned food drive to support the Tri-Valley Haven Food Bank and families in need across our community.
We also raised $161 in the Breast Cancer Awareness Month for Culinary Angels, helping families bravely battling cancer.
In October, we brought smiles to over 400 students by hosting a fun pumpkin patch for Walnut Grove, Alisal, and our youngest learners.
Every week, we cook up delicious recipes with the ESN classes, and last week, we made apple pie.
Today, we had the joy of reading holiday stories to students at Walnut Grove and passed out candy canes.
Right now, we're collecting gift cards to support Harvest Park families who need a little extra help. Tomorrow, we're going to be having a pajama and hot chocolate day to raise even more for this drive.
And soon we'll be planting tomatoes and sunflowers to hand out to every student at open house, spreading a little sunshine as we end the school year.
With everyone's help, we know the best is yet to come.
Thank you for listening.
That was perfect. Thank you. Okay, awesome. And then now we have a bunch of cool stuff around campus, and I'd like Leslie Galliano, one of the alums of Harvest Park, to come speak about our yearbook program.
Hi, I'm Leslie Galliano. I teach 6th grade block and yearbook. I was a journalist in my previous life, so it is an amazing privilege that I get to teach journalism in our yearbook class. My students learn how to conduct an interview and write an article, how to photograph sports, candids, and portraits, and how to use professional grade design software to edit photos and lay out pages. They learn how to conduct themselves professionally and respect the $40,000 commitment we make to the Harvest Park community each year. This is my 5th yearbook. In the last few years, we have expanded the program to include more students, longer books, and published innovations. We've done laser cutouts on the cover, and we've done great big gatefold tip-ins of the 8th grade Pano photo. Tip-in is these gatefolds that you stick in the middle that fold out like this to both sides, and this way everyone gets a copy of the 8th grade Pano photo, and it looks really cool, which is awesome. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that 4 years in a row, our yearbooks have been recognized by our publisher, Varsity, as a best of the best book. That means we've been in the top 1% of the books they evaluate annually. The 2024 yearbook, this guy, was printed a second time by the publisher. In fact, it was printed hundreds and hundreds extra times to be sent out as an exemplar to their school clients across the country. So every year they put boxes together for all of their clients, and this was in that box. This year, just yesterday, the 2025 yearbook, this one, was similarly recognized. So of their, I don't know, hundreds plus, probably about 1,000 of their clients, 800 of the schools submitted their yearbooks. Of the 800 submitted for consideration for their award, 62 only were chosen for the award. Of those 62, only 9 were middle schools, and the Patriot was one of those 9. And I'm not tooting our own horn enough if I don't recognize the fact that we are the only school in the district who has been awarded this in the last few years. So I am very, very, very proud of my students. So thank you very much.
I know you would tell them. Okay, that's fantastic. All right. It's not a competition, but we win, right? Tonight is one of our band performances. Maurice was there last night to perform with your cape and your horns. You were brilliant. The orchestra program is overseen by Mr. Patrick DeAndrea and Jason Boris, also an alum. They serve 440 students across 5 periods. They have concert band, 3 periods of orchestra, and our jazz band. 21 Harvest Park musicians were accepted into the California All-State Honor Ensemble, and one of the largest numbers of participating students from any school in the state. So it's an amazing music program. Now on to extracurriculars. We do ultimate frisbee. If you would like to compete, so would we. Basketball, badminton, and now we take ping pong really seriously, and I mean like really seriously. We'll have the fall drama performance of HPMS Law and Order, Fairy Tale Units. Cross country, we absolutely crushed. We have every kind of tutorials, mandatory, study hall, math, ELA, ELD, you kind of name it, and a battle band, and French and Spanish tutorials. We have Latin Voices, GSA, Girls Who Code, ACE, Checkmates, 5 different VEX 5 robotics teams, of which only 2 will be competing. And we also have our We the People program. We'll have 2 competitions, you know what I'm talking about, this coming spring. And then for our health and wellness, our PBS team, just officially, we just took a picture yesterday, we are again platinum for PBIS. We have our NEST programming, which includes, again, our peer advocates. And we are now doing restorative practices across campus, teaching teachers how to do it themselves, and students are participating along with it. And then we have after-school inclusive events like the Mid-Autumn Festival, Diwali celebration, school-wide boba and pizza hangouts, and you kind of name it all the way along. And from there, I would like my PTSA president, Zaya, to talk more about how parents are involved in our programming.
Hello, I'm Zaya Kuykendall-Bowen, and I am the PTA president this year. So far, we have done our fall festival, which has become an annual event. It's free to families. We have food trucks and games, and it's just our way of kind of kicking off the school year with something really fun and exciting, especially for our 6th graders who kind of are like, there's no more recess. So something fun for them to come and just play with their families. Also in October, we did our Diwali celebration where families came in to celebrate their culture through food, and they provided a potluck for our staff. It was a really great event. Even had an impromptu lunchtime fire drill. Well, it wasn't a drill. We had a little incident. So, yeah, with a microwave, you know. Had to keep people on their toes. And then this afternoon, we actually had our annual reflection celebration. We had 27 entries this year, which for middle schoolers is really good because by middle school, you know, we're trying to play it cool a little bit, and a lot of kids are not really interested, or it's harder to get kids interested in those creative things. And it's a nationwide program that's free, so we want to keep pushing it as far as we can. So tonight we had a little ceremony for families, some refreshments where we presented our participants with trophies and their certificates. Coming up, let's see, what else do we have? Coming up, we have a cookie drive. This is our 2nd annual cookie drive where parents and families will donate cookies, and it's our way of sending the teachers off to the holidays with a little something sweet and to say thank you for making it to the first half and getting us through to the next. And hopefully in the spring we'll be able to do a holly celebration and play in some colors. We couldn't do it last year, but we are trying again for this year. But our mission is to just make a community with school parents and staff. So that's us. Thank you.
All right. The work is not done, so we have areas of emphasis at our school sites. So if you go to the California dashboard, you'll see that all of our scores are yellow and above. However, this last year, students who identify as Hispanic or students with disabilities did not perform at the yellow level or above. We want them to be able to meet and exceed expectations, as well as, though we have a small number that identify as African American, we also still want to push. So even though it statistically is not there, you can see it's grayed out and it's not a rating for our school site, it's still an area of need. And so in this year and next year, the emphasis is bringing in students for one-on-one interventions where the skills are that you need. So for example, in math, it typically is 2-digit multiplication, long division, fractions, decimals, and then solving for a single variable. Our IS for that is Mr. Dank, and he meets with them often in classes and sometimes does pull-out. Our intervention specialist, Terry Wilder, is working on skills around basic concepts of grammar, language acquisition, which she does during A period, so it doesn't impact their elective access. Obviously, it's always a collaboration with parents to figure out what they need as a family along with the kids. Sometimes it says that we need to have support, say, for example, through our SELPA for families with social worker therapy. So it just sort of depends, but it's always all of us together, teachers, students, and parents, coming to those specific needs for each individual kiddo. And then just finding more spaces as we go along where, if we see a need, fitting it. And so it is a tireless effort that we are very happy to do. So we have a lot of hope for this coming year. It should be a lot of fun. There will be another battle band competition, which I'm hoping that Geisels will be there to judge yet again. We're going to include Village and Heart this time. So it should be amazing to take that trophy home again. But thank you very much. And we're done.
Awesome. Middle School. President Brown, I don't know what your pleasure is. I mean, we're lucky that Hart and Harvest Park is in the same room. Do you want to take pictures with them right now?
Or
what
should
do
we
you wanna
have
do?
both groups present and then we could, no, you were saying it's not a competition, so. You have a band performance. Yeah, I'm going to actually open it up just to let, I don't know if we want to do a Q&A, but if you have any comments that you wanted to make on the presentation. Go ahead, Trustee Jones.
I just wanted to say, I appreciate the fact that you not only acknowledged the areas that you need to work on at your site, but that you actually are presenting to us your solutions and your next steps for that. Because that's critical. I mean, your area that you're having to work on is an area that at my site I have to dedicate a lot of time towards working on as well for us. And I know it's not easy, but the work is worth it. And also, congratulations and good luck on We the People. I just did our regional today.
All right, anyone else? Go ahead, Trustee McCaughey.
Well, it's a little hard not to say something at Harvest Park and my children, all three of my children going through. Just wanted to thank you for the great presentation. Kudos to the yearbook recognition. I know one of my boys was part of your class and helped contribute, so I know that you work those students hard. And I also wanted to thank you, Mr. Campizzi, for talking nice and slow. You did a great job. So, in Campizzi style. So anyway, I wanted to thank everyone, and especially to our students. You guys orchestrated that really, really well, timed it perfectly, and thank you for all of you for coming to hang out with us tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just say it's a real treat to hear everything that's going on at the schools. And it is nice to actually see the collaboration that you're showing as well, bringing the students that you're leading, as well as involving the PTSA, and because all of those things make up a school and make up site culture. So it's great that you're all here. Loved everything that you shared, and great job. And since you need to go, we can do a quick picture, and then we'll switch.
I always say to parents, if you're in the building, please feel free to take a picture, and then we will have an official picture taken by Miss Frey. I'll give you a moment. Thank you very much, Miss Frey. All right, how about another hand? Thank you very much.
Oh, one last thing before you go. Board at pleasantonusd.net for the picture of Maurice with the hat and the cape, please. Feel free to send it to us. All right. Well, then I now have the pleasure of introducing Hart Middle School.
Thank you very much, President Brown. Yes, so no particular order. So we have our principal, Caroline Fields, from Hart Middle School with her team of students, and I think there's teachers and parents maybe. So, Ms. Fields, please take it away. This is the spotlight for your middle school. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Caroline Fields and the very proud principal of Hart Middle School. Our vice principal, Mr. Brendan Nelson, is here, and some of our ASB officers, and we're going to spotlight some of the great things happening at Hart. What we are going to be talking about today is we have some good news in our academic achievement, our student life. We're going to tell you how Huskies know how to have fun, and we're going to explain our One Pack Many Voices program. One of the things for academics is that we do have an all-team approach at Hart. Every staff member, from teachers to paraprofessionals to everybody, is on board, and what we are doing is to make sure that every student has best success. We have 3 pillars that we continue to, as we work to come back to, and we've had some successes with this, which I'll talk about in just a second. But first and foremost, we believe that the school culture is very important, and we want to make sure that not only everyone feels welcome, but they belong at Hart. And craft is our very best teaching practices and supports for our students. And last but not least, those essential standards to ensure that every student meets grade level expectations and beyond. Let me go back one here. I just wanted to point out a little bragging here. We have won a number of awards. Last year we were a distinguished school for California. In 2022 we were a blue ribbon school. And we have been a Schools to Watch school since 2020 and have been redesignated 3 times. So we keep working at it. And so good news I want to share, as CAS scores were for all schools were released just a couple of weeks ago. We have seen some great movement in the direction we want. So we've seen growth in our English performing arts, almost 9 points in our mathematics, and our English learners over 10. And our big excitement too is that we had 22 students reclassified as English proficient. So that's really just an amazing thing, and we're so proud. We have some more good news in terms of science. We've also seen good growth, and in the other direction for chronic absenteeism and suspension, those rates have come down, which is exactly what we want to see. But we still have some areas of growth that we need to work on, and that is our special ed students, socially economic disadvantage, Hispanic, and African Americans. And again, as we are targeting how we can help those students, we refer to our 3 pillars, which is that connection. Are they feeling connected at school? Our craft, that we are timely getting them any kind of intervention they need, and our essentials, which we use our access period, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that. We have other interventions, including after-school cohort. I want to move on to just to talk about how even our school site plan, those are our main themes there, and there's a link there if you want to look at where we are on that. But our number one is that growth on assessments. We want every student to succeed, and we continue to work on that. So what I would like to do is introduce our amazing ASB officer who will be sharing some more good news and telling a little bit about student life. While they are coming up to the podium, all of our award winners are students and teachers, if you can come on up. Staff. And there you go. Go ahead.
Hello. We are here to talk about student life and engagement here at Hart. My name is Taylor Finn, and I am the president of Hart ASB.
And my name is Audie Malikan, and I'm the vice president. And we would like to tell you how Huskies like to have fun.
Our academic staff is extremely compassionate and caring towards our learning. We have access twice a week where students are able to sign up for things that they need just a little extra help on, or for fun enrichment activities. We also have many electives such as video game design, architecture, sewing, art, music, and many more. Huskies are pretty brilliant. We also have a new wellness center where students are able to recharge and relax. It is really awesome to visit the Zen Den. This fall, we had a canned food drive to help those locally in need. We were able to have collected over 2,000 donations. Heart has a heart.
We have had many fun events at Hart already this year, such as our annual swing dance competition, which has been a tradition at Hart for 25 years. I bet you didn't know Huskies can dance. Hart also offers a variety of sports, such as track and field, volleyball, basketball, cross country, and intramurals for fun. We have so many clubs. Please see the slide for some of the many engagement opportunities at Hart. Huskies can play.
So our theme this year is One Pack, Many Voices. One pack. This means that every student belongs to our pack, and we want everyone to have a good connection to each other and to the school community. Many voices. Everyone belongs. And at the same time, we celebrate each person's uniqueness and talents. We want every student to shine. And here's a quick video to see for yourselves.
And I have learned more about my instrument than I actually have in a few years.
My favorite Hart tradition is swing dancing because they dress in 50s apparel. Sixth graders perform the square dancing, and if you don't like the swing dance, then Mr. Brown and Ms. Everett host a line dance competition, and if you win in your PE period, you get to perform during the swing dance final.
The Hart community makes me feel included when they do activities at lunch, like face painting, musical chairs, and more.
Teachers at Hart make a difference in my life because they are kind, smart, and always helping me whenever I need it.
So I know we're going to honor both our students and staff together, so I'd just like to say a quick few words about them. So our students that we're about to honor truly exemplify Husky pride. From going out of their way to support their fellow Huskies to exhibiting honor and integrity, these Huskies show the meaning of the word community. We appreciate your contributions to the Hart community and can't wait to see what's next. I'd like to move on to staff, and then we're going to do that one picture. We're honored to present our staff awards to people who never give up on our students, whose tireless efforts at ensuring that everyone is supported make Hart great. So Diana Culmer is our Special Education Department Chair. You want to do that? No. Are they here? Yes. Yeah, we're just going to announce. So. Yeah.
We like shaking hands. What can I say?
So Diana Culmer is our Special Education Department Chair. And she believes that every student can realize their goals and is dedicated to this purpose through compassionate support that lifts up each student. Nicole Kurtz is our head counselor. Her passion for supporting and guiding students, coupled with her ability to juggle the many responsibilities of running the counseling department, including wellness initiatives, makes her invaluable. Nalanda Bowman, one of our paraprofessionals. She works closely to ensure all students achieve at high levels and supports them through authentic engagement. With her support, they do not simply get to the right answer, they master the concept. And for our students, not all of them could be here, but I would like to read all their names. And if you hear your name, please come on up. So Dominic Becker, Lucia Denton, Hope Soleil, Samir Kanodia, Brady Bull, Eilina Kaha, Ford Lammert. So these Hart students exemplify Husky pride, from going out of their way to support their fellow Huskies to exhibiting honor and integrity. They show the oh, I already read that, excuse me. We are so proud of all of you. Thank you.
Parents, I invite you to please take pictures as you wish. And like I said earlier, Ms. Frey will take the official picture. All right, Ms. Frey. All right, how about a hand for the Hart Huskies?
And we were just going to say that we included our mission statement here, but essentially all we want to add is that Hart Huskies will lead the pack with heart and pride. And we just want to say thank you to our students, our staff, all of our families for all their contributions. And you guys have a good evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go back to this. All right, so closing out item 5 around recognitions, we're moving on to the board organization, election of officers. Before we get started with this, we'll let people go about their evening and let kids do their homework. Make sure that you don't have a test tomorrow. I know that's something I cover with my middle schooler every night. Nobody wants to see who gets to be president and vice president next year. The suspense is killing me. So, all right. All right. Sorry. We're always giddy after we get to see and hear from students and teachers. So it is only 6:36. It has been a long year, though, so I'm going to start by saying that. Before we get into electing who's going to succeed me in this chair, I did want to say thank you for the trust that you as a board have shown in me this year. It's been a very difficult year between superintendent search and the plethora of budget meetings. I think I've probably gotten a little more bald and a little more gray from all the meetings, but I am proud of the fact that we as a board have listened to each other, and I believe we've progressed as a governing unit to make sure that we're making decisions that take into account every voice at this table. So I just wanted to start that by saying thank you before we get into that. So in terms of procedures, in the past, sometimes people have made the motion to combine the election of the president and the vice president at the same time, or did a separate motions. I will leave it up to you guys to decide. Yeah, I think that's a decent preamble. So I'm looking for any motions or suggestions. I will stay quiet for now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to nominate Kelly McCaughey as president.
I will second.
Okay.
Do I need to say anything more? I'm just.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. And if voted on, would you accept? I'm just trying to continue the awkwardness. It's
kind of
good.
a strange day for me, so I'm a little quiet. Yes, I would be honored. I wanted to thank the board for the nomination and the second. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to speak. So I would be humbled and very honored to serve as president, and I would like to say that I attest to what you're saying, President Brown, that I am really proud of how we have worked this past year collectively as a board, and engaging with our community and our labor partners and staff. The collaboration and shift of just having to do a lot of hard work together has not been easy, and we've had to work together as a board through that superintendency search and working together, and so yes, I would be very honored.
All right, unless there's any other comments, I'll be looking for a vote with our preferential vote going to our student trustee.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye for myself, so that's unanimous, 6-0. Congratulations, soon to be President McCaughey. Let's talk about the vice president. So,
I'd like to nominate Lori Walker for vice president.
okay.
I'll second.
All right, we're being very efficient tonight. First and seconded. If elected, would you accept such a position?
Absolutely, I'd be humbled and honored. Absolutely.
All right, very good. So I'm looking for any other comment or let's do a vote, starting at the end.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye for myself. Both very well earned. I appreciate, one final thing I will say, Vice President McCaughey, you have been in all the meetings prepping and spending a lot of time with Cabinet and with the superintendent to prep to get the most out of all the meetings that we've had this year. So it's been an honor serving with you, and it will be an honor to move down the table and give up the seat to the two of you. So one thing I will say is we don't have voting cards this year, so just take your microphone and just move it with your seat.
Can I say one thing?
Yes?
I just wanted to say, I just want to say to Kelly that you've shown very consistent commitment and you have a very strong understanding of our district's needs, and I believe that you're so well prepared to step into the role of president. So I'm very honored that you accepted your role. So thank you.
All right, so let's adjourn for 2 minutes while we shuffle chairs.
This is the board organization consent agenda. And so this is routine in nature annually each year. Under the approval of the organizational consent agenda, there are certain items that are reviewed annually for the board. And so this is consent unless if there are any questions or items that need to be pulled. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Isn't this the jobs that we're going to have, the organization?
No.
No, that's the next item. This is, if you read through and look at the attachment, for example, it's the one where it appoints, for example, the superintendent as board secretary. So, for example, if the board would desire to have a trustee be appointed board secretary, that might be an item you'd want to pull for discussion. But if not, maybe I'll let the trustees take a minute to take a look to see if there are any questions on the consent agenda and if there's anything to pull. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
Okay. So all those in favor, we'll do a roll call.
Aye.
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 And it passes 6-0. Sorry, I just have a technical question. So if I'm asking for public comment, even though we voted, can I allow for that after it's been voted? Sorry, okay. Sorry, just a little procedural question. So technically for anything that has action, it does need to be open for public comment. Are there any comments for public comment for this item? Okay, seeing none, I will close it for public comment. Okay, so the next item is for, I'm seeing on the agenda is the appointment and alternate community organization for PSD board committees for the 2026 calendar year. This is what you were asking for, Trustee Carry-On. So what we would like to do at this point in time, annually, this is a process where we have each trustee serve on various committees. We have numerous, such as the curriculum committee, we have the finance committee, we have facilities, and there are some other committees. And so in some cases, normally we have 2 trustees serve on each committee. In other cases, it might be 1, and then we typically have an alternate. So as what we'll do typically for this process, we'll go through for each committee. And what I think would be easiest is if we read through the current committee members and the alternate. And then depending on how we want to think about it, if there is strong desire for multiple trustees, I would suggest you put your, have a request to speak. I would like to recognize that just because you've served on a committee doesn't necessarily mean that you get priority over others. I do think that if there's multiple trustees that want to serve on one particular committee, that would be an opportunity for us to discuss your rationale for wanting to stay on. We understand that sometimes this is a bit of a compromise. There's certain committees that maybe multiple trustees might want to serve on. So just think about that as we go through that process. And then also think about your personal schedules. There are different times for certain committees that might conflict for your time and availability. So with that, we will go to the description rationale. And so I think I'll just go down through the list of what we have, and we have it pulled up. Perfect. So the first one is the appointment of a representative and alternative for the Tri-Valley Special Education Local Plan. Our current representative is Walker, and the alternate is Makashi. And I also think it would be good for others who may not be familiar, if those who are serving on the committee maybe just give a quick synopsis before we chime in if you're interested in serving on that committee. So Trustee Walker, Vice President Walker, would you like to talk a little bit about your experience this year on SELPA for other trustees to consider if they might want to jump for this opportunity to serve on the SELPA board?
Yes, it meets, I think we meet quarterly. And meetings are, I think they're at 5:30, 6. It's a great committee. I've loved being on it. I've been on, I think, the last 2 years. It's the SELPA, so there's other districts who are involved in it, at Dublin and Livermore, and it's just everything related to the SELPA. It's a great committee. I loved it. I love it.
Mr. Dialazzo, could you add in, since you're part of that, and also remind for the trustees what day? Is it Mondays?
It's not Mondays. I'd have to double check. It's changed, but I think it's Tuesday nights. Vice President, that's a good ring to it, Vice President Walker. So I think it's Tuesday nights, and it is quarterly. Sometimes there is a special board meeting, depending on what the topics or needs are, but it's about 4 times a year. And the SELPA is made up of the Livermore, Dublin, Pleasanton, as well as smaller districts, Sunol, Mountain House, Alameda County Office of Education.
Okay, I think I would just add one comment that I did have an opportunity to serve on this in one of my first years as a trustee, and I would just say that it is a governing board, and so that you function as a board with other trustees on it, and it's advocating for students with disabilities and advocating, and special funding too. I don't know if you want to keep in mind about with the SELPA funding, but there is a fiscal responsibility too. So,
yeah, Pleasanton is the administrative unit for the SELPA, and what that means is that we are the district of the pass-through of the funds from the county. Comes to the Pleasanton School District, and our business office allocates the funds to the different school sites that I mentioned, and those fundings are based on ADA of each district. So it's proportionately distributed and for all the different services provided by the SELPA.
okay, so I'm going to open it to the forum to my fellow trustees to see if anyone has any comments, reflections, interests.
I do.
You want to continue?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Does anyone else have an interest to serve as an alternate, perhaps, who've not been a part of the SELPA before?
I have not been part of the SELPA before, so I would volunteer to be the alternate.
Okay, fellow trustees, are you okay with that? Okay, so I will just write that down, that we're going to continue with Walker and Trustee Brown as the alternate. Okay, great. Next is the appointment for representative and alternate to the Regional Occupational Program, also known as ROP, Joint Powers Board. This also functions as a board as well. And currently we have the current representative is Walker and the alternate is Mokashi. So Trustee Vice President Walker, if you would like to talk a little bit about the ROP board, and give our fellow trustees information?
Again, it's a quarterly. We meet on Wednesdays at 5:30. Great committee. We do function as like a governing board. It's a trustee from Dublin, a trustee from Livermore, and myself. And Middle College falls under that as well. It's ROP, it's the buildings, trades, construction, engineering, architect. It's a great committee as well. Love it.
Staff, do you have anything else to add for the ROP board, for the trustees for consideration for serving? Anything else?
I think Vice President Walker covered it.
Okay, so I'm going to open it to the floor for my fellow trustees.
Yes, I would like to continue.
Got lots of enthusiasm. Okay, that's great, no problem. Do we have any fellow trustees that would be interested in serving as an alternate? And I would say this would be a phenomenal opportunity to better understand different opportunities for our high school students and options.
I would be interested in being the alternate for that.
I think that would be a perfect match. Okay, fellow trustees, are we good with that consideration? Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next committee, this one is an interesting one. This is the appointment and representative and alternate to the Alameda County School Board Association. It stands for ACSBA. I have not had an opportunity to attend any of the meetings. I would like to ask if any of our fellow trustees have had a chance to attend this year, and if so, it would be good for other trustees to hear about it. This is one typically where all the trustees are appointed and attend if available, but my understanding is sometimes their meetings conflict with our schedules. Has anyone had a chance to attend?
I have attended meetings in the past. They tend to be more informational in nature, but it's good to learn. Especially if there's an opportunity to talk to the Alameda County Superintendent as well. So they are interesting, but like you said, they often conflict with our meetings, unfortunately.
Okay, well, maybe this can be a pledge for us to see if maybe we all can attend one in the next year. But that has been a long-withstanding committee. So we will move on to the appointment of representatives and an alternate to the City of Pleasanton Liaison Committee. The current trustees that are represented are Trustee Carrion and myself, and our alternate is Brown. And I would like to just, I'll make a few comments and I'll pass it to Trustee Carrion to highlight. But this is one of the most engaging committees to be a part of because it's an opportunity for the city to work collaboratively with the district and identify joint discussions. So for example, in the past, the liaison committee worked together to identify how the cross guards would work and the funding for that, and that was a very fruitful conversation. I'm going to pass it to Trustee Carrion because she served on it multiple years as well. So, and Trustee Brown, any other comments?
No, I just want to add that it's a very good opportunity to work together and talk about some of the common issues. So,
okay, so I'm going to open up to the floor for trustees that would be interested.
Sorry, I had a question.
Sure, question.
What is the day and time that this one meets?
Great question. It is Tuesdays, and traditionally it's been at 3:30 p.m. However, we just had a liaison committee meeting the other day, and it was even discussed to propose to push that time up later in the day, like a 4:30 for others to attend. So that will be negotiable for the new committee. But it's traditionally on Tuesdays, once a month. The second or third Tuesday?
Second.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to attend if possible, if nobody else, but about you too.
I would be, if it is able to be later than 4:30, like 4:30 or later, I'd be interested in doing it.
In our meeting, we had an opportunity to push if there was positive traction from 3:30 to 4. And
Yeah, because the reason why this is important to me is it's not equitable or fair to do a meeting at a time while the entire community is still working in a city where we're mostly commuters. So you can't say we're a city liaison when we can't even have the people we represent show up and participate in a meeting. So like I commute from Hayward and back. There's no universe where I would be able to do a meeting like this at 3 if I was as a member of the public. So I know not always people show up, but they should still have the opportunity. So I would like to do this or be a part of it, but I would definitely strongly encourage us to push for it to be 4:30 or later. Most of ours are.
Yeah, so once again, that would be a decision that the new established committee would make a decision jointly, because there's 2 city council members and 2 trustees, so that'll be a decision of that committee to make. So I hear that Trustee Carrion would like to be on, Trustee Brown or
Yeah,
Walker?
I'm definitely interested. I don't actually commute on a Tuesday, so I'm a bit more flexible, but like I will cede that opportunity to Trustee Jones if the time can be different. But if not, then I'm happy to serve.
And question, Trustee Brown, have you served on before, or were you alternate in the past?
I did serve 1 year on that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So I just wanted us to think about if there's other committees down the road, and if we can push this one to come back to, if there are other committees that we want to talk about as well. I'm flexible in terms of how we want to go about this. So if because right now I'm seeing 3 potential people interested in serving. So we have Trustee Brown, Trustee Carrion, and Trustee Jones. So I know Trustee Carrion, you've been on the City Liaison Committee multiple years as well.
Why don't we do Trustee Carrion and myself as primary, Trustee Jones as secondary, and then if the time can be changed, then I'm happy to flip-flop.
Adjust it?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, not a problem. So, okay, so then we're going to put, tentatively, we're going to put Carrion and Brown.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I would not be able to because of my school. So
Are you sure?
yeah, because our local curriculum council would end by like 5:15. I was thinking of the wrong Tuesday, so I'm fine.
You sure? Okay, and so it would not be good for you to be an alternate then either. So, Trustee Walker, would you like to be an alternate? Or you're pretty busy, but I don't know. If you've not been an alternate, it might be a great opportunity.
That's fine.
So yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no problem. The next one is appointment of representative and alternative for the Tri-Valley Education Coalition, TEC. Current representative is Brown, alternate is Carrion. I'm going to pass it to you, Trustee Brown. I can't speak for this one, so if you could highlight briefly for the other trustees, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, the TEC tends to be, it doesn't function as a board, it's more consultative. And the meetings are, I think, 3 times a year, Ed? I think it's 3 times a
I
year.
was just looking on my calendar.
Yeah.
It's about, I thought quarterly, but 3 times sounds
Yeah.
right.
And I'd be happy to release that one over to someone else to experiment. It is a good opportunity to meet with folks in some of the other districts and have a discussion. I'm trying to think of what time the meetings are, though.
Wasn't there one today, Josh, or yesterday? What was the time? 8 to 11 on what day? Wednesdays. So 8 to 11 in the morning, I hope, right? Yes. Yeah, 4 times a year.
Okay.
That might be difficult because of the timing, because of our other day schedules. So, would it be okay if you stay, Trustee Brown, just because I think you're the one that has the most flexible schedule?
Not on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I don't. That's why I wouldn't have gone to the meeting yesterday. Wednesdays and Thursdays I have to be in Santa Clara. And mornings are always difficult, running a global team.
Okay. Carrie Ann, are you still good for alternate? Have you been able to attend? Do you want to move up to our placeholder temporarily?
No, because I'm working now almost full time on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
No, I'm not discounting that at all. I was thinking back to Trustee Jones' comment about the City District Liaison Committee and some of the considerations for the
President
committees.
Makashi, I do want to correct something. I mentioned that the Tri-Valley SELPA meetings were not on Monday. They are on Monday. I got it confused with the Tri-Valley SELPA Finance. Don't know if that helps any of the further discussions, but those meetings are quarterly on a Monday night, 6 to 8. That's the Tri-Valley SELPA.
Okay. All right. So, you know what? I'm going to say we table this one for now. I mean, logistically, perhaps if our schedule changes, do we have to have someone appointed? Because can we have it just vacated and then for staff could send a notice out and see who's available? Okay. All right. I'm going to recommend we keep that vacant right now because of everyone's schedules. Okay, so the next one is our PUSD Board Curriculum and Instruction Committee. I'd like to acknowledge Trustee Karen and myself. We were the one that inspired this committee for putting it in place about 3 years ago. Due to the passion of many trustees and experience and knowledge and input for the amazing work that our district staff do for curriculum and instruction decisions. This type of committee is typically, if there's a book adoption or a review of a course, it comes to this committee first before it comes to the entire board. And then typically, because it goes through the committee, then it goes on consent agenda unless if there's a question from fellow trustees. So currently we have Trustee Carry-On and Trustee Jones and Makashi as alternate. And I would just say this is a very delightful committee in terms of getting a lot of work and getting information. If you're a trustee that you want to know more about the curricular impacts of what's happening at the classroom level, that's a great committee to serve on. So fellow trustees that are currently serving, I don't know if you want to have add any other comments or staff to the committee. Anything else?
It's a great committee. I love being on it. I'd love to continue to serve unless somebody else really wants.
Wednesdays it's changed 5 to 6 is what it's usually. It was changed 4 to 5 a couple of times, but it's 5 to 6 on Wednesdays.
And I would like to say that some of these committees recognize that we have full-time trustees that work, and so they have been accommodating to adjust for these types of committees to adjust to times, and they've been very accommodating.
Yeah, going back to the TEC, I was just looking at their I mean, attending their meetings has been difficult. Like I said, I have attended a couple of them, and it's really more about an opportunity for teachers, counselors, and others to meet. The material covered or the subjects covered, at least in the meetings that I have gone to, aren't really. I don't want to say. It's nice for the a board member to know about it, but we're not really participants in those discussions.
I can add to.
So I would recommend we actually kind of drop this one as a committee that we send representatives to.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, President Brown.
Former President Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry. Former President Brown. So yes, it's not like ROP, which is a board. It's not like the Tri-Valley SELPA, which is a governance council, which representing districts vote on things. So the TEC is actually an advisory group, so you can actually provide information without physically being at the meeting. Of course, if you want to go to a meeting, you can, but it's that sort of meeting. It's an advisory group for CTE, so Career Tech Education.
Okay, so I might suggest that we consult with the superintendent and come back to decide if we want to drop it or think of another way to communicate to the advisory TEC coalition, because obviously I can't speak to why it was established initially to have a trustee attend. I'm sure there was a reason for that. So
I just think it'd be a better committee. It absolutely adds value. I'm not trying to bash it. I'm just saying that I think it would be better represented by staff, not us.
Dr. Geisel, do you have any comments? I mean, I can't speak to this particular coalition, so, or staff.
Maybe in the interest of the meeting, we'll just leave it vacant, and then we can take it up later.
Okay, no problem.
I liked your earlier suggestion.
I'm trying to be accommodating. Okay, so going back to the Curriculum and Instruction Committee, are there any other trustees that would like to attend this committee that have not been on, that would like to, or those that would like to stay on? Yes, Trustee Jones?
I'd like to stay on this one. I mean, I'm a teacher, it's in my wheelhouse. And I've really enjoyed working with the team that's there and talking about a lot of the important issues, especially classes, and looking at our data that's coming up. So I'd like to continue to be there.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to stay on since I still teach.
Do we have any other trustees that want to serve as alternate? Otherwise, I could stay as the alternate. Okay. All right. So done. Thank you. We'll go next to the appointment and representatives of the alternative for the PUSD Board Facility Committee. Currently, trustees are Carrie Ann McCaughey and alternate is Jones. So this is similar to the Curriculum Instruction Committee, where anything with the facilities in particular, because we have Measure I and Measure I-1 bonds, typically work for the bond work, or any other projects that the district is overseeing, and our amazing staff, Aaron and others come. That's also for a review of the potential bids for construction work, and this is typically every 2 months to 3 months, depending on the demand. There's been requests for more frequent meetings, but it really kind of depends on as-needed basis. Ahmad, I don't know if there's anything else you would like to add.
Yes, I think we've gone to every month right now, but it was every other month, so the frequency increases depending on what's going on in the construction side.
Okay, so I'll pass it to my fellow trustees. I would say that I would love to stay on, but we can discuss it for others that if they would like to join.
I would love to stay on as well.
I'm fine being the alternate still.
Okay. All right. Any other trustees? Okay. All right. That sounds good. So we'll keep that one as is. And then we have the next one is the appointment of the representatives and alternate for the PUSD Board Finance Committee. Currently, we have our current representative is Jones and Walker, and the alternate is McCaughey. I will let my fellow trustees talk about this committee who've been sitting on it, and Ahmad for any other comments.
This is an important committee. We provide updates prior to the first interim, second interim, budget adoption. They also support the selection of the independent auditor and get presentation from the auditors in advance.
Okay, fellow trustees, I'd say I'd love to join this one and step up from alternate to actually serve if others are not opposed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm willing to step back from this one and move more towards board policy. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, any others that would like to jump back on it who've served in the past? I'm just offering.
Why are you looking down the other end of the table? I'm happy.
You're so far down there.
I'm happy to be an alternate, although I do like my. I have enjoyed some extra time with Ahmad and Maurice as board president, but yeah, I'm happy to be an alternate. You know me, I always never have a problem talking budget.
Okay, so if we're okay with McCaughey as a representative, and then Trustee Walker, do you want to step back or stay on because of your timing, because you've jumped on some other committees? So
I was going to step back, but if no one else wants to do it, I can stay on.
If it's easier for you, I can.
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
You sure you want to duke it out, either of you? Okay, so Trustee Walker, Vice President Walker, you're going to stay? I'll stay. Okay. So we'll have McCaughey and Walker, and the alternate is Brown. Is that what we're saying? Or, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're almost done. We're going through, now we have the appointment and representatives and alternate on the PUSD Board Policy Committee. Current is McCaughey and Walker, and alternate is Jones. I can just make a few comments. I absolutely love policy. This is a great committee if you are a trustee and you want to revisit, tweak, and take a look at countless policies and administrative regulations, if that's your niche. So I've had the opportunity to serve on this for multiple years, and I have no problem stepping back if Jones would like to take my place. And oh yeah, I'm going to divert to staff because I keep forgetting. It used to be Mondays, now it's Wednesdays, but I'm sure if, depending on the trustees that are appointed, staff could work around those two trustees' schedules and staff.
We have been flexible with the time. The next ones coming up are Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, I'd be interested in stepping up for that one.
You would? You don't? Well, I can stay on it if are there any other trustees that want to join? Otherwise, I can stay.
It seems like it's your wheelhouse policy.
Okay. Thank you for the compliment. Okay, so we're going to have McCaughey and Jones on this committee, and then who would like to be the alternate? Should we do a round robin when no one can come? Don't jump all at once.
I can be an alternate.
Thank you, Trustee Carry on. Okay, next one is the appointment of representative and alternate for the school district board liaison to the Pleasanton Partnership and Education Foundation, otherwise known as PPIE. This is more of an advisory role for the trustees. I'll pass it to my fellow trustees that have served on it to make comments. Currently, our representative is Brown and our alternate is Carry on, but other trustees have served as well. So,
yeah, I'll just say the meetings are monthly, Monday at 4:30, and typically run to about 6. And Dr. Geisel's, I don't know why I'm echoing. Dr. Geisels often does a presentation around what's top of mind for the district. As you mentioned, it's not, you don't get a vote, but you're certainly looked upon to give some currency in terms of what's happening at the board and some color around some of the decisions that have been made. So, weird echo. So anyway, it's a fun committee because it's a mix of community members as well as they have their own staff as well, and they do great work for us. So that's about it.
okay, and so with that, do I have an interest from a particular trustee that would like to be the current representative and alternate?
I'm happy to stay on, but I'm also happy to step back if there's an interest, or swap. All right.
Trustee Karen, you missed that. He was leaning towards you for your engagement.
I didn't miss that.
Did I mention that at their last meeting, that was their end of year meeting, they had really great cookies? Both gluten-free and non-gluten-free, and they were kind enough to gift a bowl in a wax thing.
Wow.
So yeah, they self-cater homemade goods.
Are you serious? Because when I was on, it was all Zoom. Are you lying? Just trying to entice me because you know my sweet tooth?
A little of both. I would never lie to a fellow trustee. At least not intentionally. Yeah, no, they often do bring home baked goods, and they meet on the other side of the room here on Mondays. So, anyway, you can even come as an alternate and get some cookies. However you want to do it.
I'm happy to be an alternate.
All right.
Okay, well, it is an amazing foundation, and they had an amazing gala that they put off recently, which I know many of us were able to attend, and they helped fund a lot of amazing support programs. So, okay, so we have clearly spoken. So, Brown, thank you for staying on, and Trustee Karen will be alternate. So, that is for the committees. So I'm going to open this for public comment. If there are any individuals from the public that would like to make any comments about any of these committees, the chairs, and the assignments. Okay, going once, going twice. We'll close public comment. So what, Lanita, I just wanted to confirm, I took notes. Were we able to document all the adjustments? So, can we just say so moved instead of listing all the changes since we went through them all for the approval? Okay, so we're looking for a motion and a second for this item.
I'll make a motion to approve it as moved along the way. One thing I will want to point out, by the way, as a student trustee, you're welcome to attend any of these meetings that interest you, or just drop in to learn about them. So.
And I will second.
All those in favor, we'll do roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye, and then it passes 6-0. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's all of the exciting organizational items for the agenda. So now we're going to move along on our agenda. Yeah. Yes, I'm talking about that. I did not forget. Okay, so this time of year is an opportunity. We did do this last year, but there's some paperwork that didn't get through. I want to talk about the delegate assembly. I have been the individual that has served on this delegate for the last 2 terms. It is a 2-year term. It is a delegate assembly, meaning that trustees all across the state attend. It is twice a year, and it is in May, the 3rd weekend in May. Typically it's in Sacramento, so it's been a pretty easy drive up and drive back for part of the day on Saturday and Sunday. And then they also meet right before the California School Board Association, which is the first week of December. And once again, that's typically a 2-day meeting, typically that Monday and Tuesday, first week of December. And that alternates. Typically, these meetings are either, once again, in Sacramento or down in SoCal area. San Diego is where we've had some of the meetings. This is an amazing opportunity to meet with other trustees and talk about challenges and issues across the state that our trustees and boards are facing, whether it be funding issues. You get reports on, for example, I had an opportunity to attend the other week, and there were speakers about Prop 98 and upcoming policies that are typically being addressed for consideration at the state level. As a delegate, you have an opportunity also to be basically reached out to by staff for the California School Board Association to speak with assembly members, Senate members, the Senate, state representation for particular policies or Senate bills that are coming through. You do have an advocate that a group of other trustees in our area. We are Region 7B. And there is, if you take a look at the paperwork, that we have about 16 to 20 other trustees in the area. Currently, our delegate advisor, I forget the title, is Rachel Hurd from San Ramon, and she is our point contact person. And I just would like to say it's an amazing opportunity for us to represent the Tri-Valley. I've loved it, but my term is coming up. My term will end in March 2026. And I do think with my having 3 teenagers at home, senior graduating, I would love to see another trustee consider this for an application. And then the application is due right around January 7th. It basically, you include a little summary of your experience as a trustee, answering about 3 to 4 questions, and then it's submitted to our fellow districts, and they vote, and then you get elected 2-year term. So I'm very passionate about it, but I would love to see if there's any others that might be interested. Do we have anyone that would be interested in applying? Because basically the board has to nominate and approve the candidate tonight to have it move forward.
Okay. And do we have to have a representative? I noticed that looking at 7B, there's like a couple vacant positions, as an example. We don't.
So, no, we don't have to have anyone from Pleasanton, but I do think that it's an amazing opportunity, and I know in my past in serving, I've come back to share amazing information with fellow trustees and with the district, and I think it's an amazing experience as a trustee for knowledge, not only for yourself as a trustee, but just to see what other school districts are doing. So we're looking for a nomination for any consideration.
Yeah, just to add what you said, I'm looking, I see the 2 meetings, our delegates, is May 16th and 17th, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. And then the other dates they have is December 1st and 2nd, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Yeah, so I apologize. It's one weekend in May, so usually it's the 2nd or 3rd weekend of May. And then traditionally it's the 2 days prior to the CSBA conference. Now the conference kicks off usually Thursday, but they have like the president's training on Wednesday. So typically the board did not attend this year, but typically our board has attended CSBA, and if that resumes down the road, then it's just typically 1 extra or 2 days going to the conference. So
got it.
I would highly encourage anyone for consideration to think about it.
No, I think Charlie would be good at it, but you're probably busy, aren't you?
Yeah, like this is one of my big critiques of like CSBA. It's like if you care about education and actually like this, why would you do it right before finals and right in the middle of the school week? Like that's just rude. So yeah, I could do the May 16th and 17th, but like December 1st and 2nd, right before finals and right before We the People regionals, like you can tell a teacher did not plan this schedule.
So I guess my point would be that, it's not, if you think you could commit to at least the one in May, I would recommend that we nominate you and see if you get through to the vote, because you do have to get elected. I think it's better to have representation from our district for consideration, and you could at least attend 1 out of the 2 if you're interested. I'm not going to say, and I know Trustee Vice President Walker, I know you had, I talked to you about it, so I don't know if you're interested either, but I would love representation. I feel like I've done it twice, and I think it's time for someone else to step up. But if I'm not, anyway, that's what I'm going to say.
If nobody else wants to do it and you are comfortable with me just doing the May 16th one, then I would be okay with going forward as a nominee.
Woohoo! I nominate Charlie Jones.
Oh, don't all jump at once.
I'll second that.
No, we already seconded it, sorry.
Oh, who seconded it? I was so excited.
Second, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. So, and Trustee Jones, we went through that process last year, so it's the same process for the application, so I can work with you and with Lanita. We just need to get your application. She has to submit the paperwork. So I think that's where there was a gap last year. Okay, so.
Vote?
Yes, we will vote. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 And aye. It passes 6-0 unanimously. All right. We'll move on. Thank you.
And newly minted President McCaughey, I believe APT said that they could not attend tonight. Okay.
Okay, so yes, the next item on the agenda is reports from our Employee Association presidents. So it would be APT and CSEA. So do we have representation for CSEA either? Okay. All right, so then we will move to public comment. So public comment is an opportunity for the public to come speak on anything that is not currently on the agenda. I would just like to make a comment that traditionally the board, because of the Brown Act, will not necessarily respond or comment, but if there's a situation where there is a directive, a recommendation for next steps or clarification for staff, typically that can be addressed by staff at a later time. So at this point in time, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak for anything that's not currently on the agenda, there are these green public comment cards. So please take one at this point in time. And right now we do have one public comment at this point in time. We have Christina. So if you could come on up, and I would like to state just a reminder, 3 minutes for the time, and we will cut the mic off right at the end of 3 minutes. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So there is one thing tonight that I am 100% certain of. I am 100% certain that we cannot continue to celebrate our successes without also bringing our failures out of the dark and into the light. I'm referring to the achievement gaps, which I've spoken about multiple times here, that unfortunately run largely along racial barriers. I'm also referring to the cultural issues that have been experienced, as far as I know, only at Amador, but I only know about that because I'm an Amador parent. And I'm referring to the 3 instances of race-based hate vandalism at Amador in the past 6 weeks. This is not okay. And you know as well as I do that culture and academics are related. If you don't feel safe and valued, you will not learn. Now, most of the students in our community, this is not a problem for them. But for the students that are struggling, we need to stand up for them. And we've been ignoring it for far too long. I've sent out to all of you and executive staff a list of about 50 ideas that I compiled based on 20, 30 plus conversations that I've had with individuals in the community. That's not intended to be a solution. That's intended to show that it's possible for us to have some outside of the box ideas. And I'm hoping that PUSD will go through a similar process to think through how we can affect culture at our schools, how we can affect academic interventions at elementary, middle, and high school levels. And really, I appreciate what some of the schools talked about tonight. I think that we need to have more district-based policies and mission statements. We should all be on the same page about this. I'd like to remind the board of Board Policy 5145.9, which deals with hate-based behavior within our schools. I would like to make sure that this is being followed with fidelity. I'd like to make sure there's scaffolding in place for various resources. This needs to be agendized. And I really, really do hope, especially with our new president and vice president here, I mean, everyone should be on the same page with this. And in the emails I've sent out to those of you, some of you have said, look, I've tried, I'm getting ignored, or I can't do anything about it, or we need 3 of us to get something on an agenda. And if we can't get 3 of you to be committed to this, to these students that are vulnerable, we have a very, very big problem. And I don't believe that. I do believe that all of you care, and I do hope that you agendize this for a meeting in the near future. Oh, you're more serious about this than he is. I miss you, Justin.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other public comment? Okay, great. Next is superintendent's report.
Thank you, President McCaughey. So, the holiday parade coming out of the gate here, community celebration. Last Saturday, we participated in the parade that was well attended. I believe the last census count was 1.6 million. It seemed like it. There were 20 to 30 benches deep. It was just incredibly, thousands appeared. Amador Foothill marching bands, our cheer teams, which are enormous, performing art groups, the mariachi, the ballet folklorico, Bollywood, hip-hop, Bollyhop, and our STEP program. So lots of participation. Pleasanton Adult and Career Ed PACE, trustees and cabinet walked in front of the bus, and thank you, Suzanne, for organizing and leading it with all the decorations and seeing all the families along the route, cheering. I think it was just a wonderful thing after a lot of work over the last 3 months to see so many fans out there. So it was a wonderful celebration, and I want to thank everybody. I do want to specifically point out some athletic highlights at Amador and Foothill. We had a strong postseason performance. Amador sent 6 teams to the playoffs, including water polo, which won the Division II NCS championship, and Foothill sent 7 teams, with several advancing deep into NCS. A notable achievement, Amador boys and girls cross-country teams qualified for the state meet, and the school qualified for the NCS flag football. Foothill earned the EBAL honors across multiple sports and had a girls tennis doubles team finish third in NCS. Our athletes, important, collectively possess strong GPA in the 3.5 to 3.6 range and earn dozens of all-league honors. And together they continue to show what is possible when passion, hard work, and the unwavering support of their families, coaches, and communities come together. So I want to just reflect. It seems like quite a while ago, the last meeting we had right before the fall Thanksgiving break. We met every Thursday from September up to that point, and I want to acknowledge the working together across stakeholder groups, including our labor partners, staff, community, and trustees. And I want to reflect back to and acknowledge that every meeting I basically asked for the same thing, and that was to demonstrate the kind of governance, the kind of discussion, the kind of deliberating that we wanted our students to see and that we wanted to model. And by and large, I think we did it. You did it. Staff did it. And particularly, I want to commend the people who made public comment. So with that, we can think about what's on the horizon for the new year, singular, 2026. We're going to go back to talking about, catching our breath here, really the design work on how we're innovating for our students of need, our students that are written in our LCAP, our students from household of poverty, students of color, students of needs, English language learner, and as well as the students who are high performing. How can we continue to meet the needs and excel with our students who want to choose and stay in Pleasanton Unified School Districts, especially over private schools? We're definitely going to get into the strategic planning process and timeline. And as a follow-up to your direction last time, we're going to have a special meeting on January 23rd. We're going to revisit the finance with the governor's budget coming out. We're going to provide a revenue update, an initiative update, a negotiations update, and an enrollment marketing plan. So I continue to do Soup on the Move. They're more truncated now. I'm in and out Tuesday through Thursday. We saw Hart here. I was there last week. This week I was at Hearst. And as far as Harvest Park is concerned, this week all the principals and then all the vice principals performed learning walks, where the integration specialists facilitated those reflection and sharing what's working and what are the opportunities for improvement. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Geisels. Okay, so the next part of the agenda is for report discussion and discussion or action. The first agenda item is an update on the 7th grade ELA. Oh, I apologize. Did I miss the consent agenda? Sorry, I turned the page. Thank you, colleagues. I'll get through this. Okay, so I apologize. We'll rewind a little bit. We're going to do the consent agenda. The consent agenda is items that are routine in nature, and if you take a look on the agenda, it is categorized by each department. We have a human resources section, business services. Typically, it's gone through one vote unless if there is something that would like to be pulled from our fellow trustees to discuss or comment. So I will open it up to the floor for anything that might need to be pulled for discussion. Okay, seeing none, then I am looking for a motion for approval on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion taken with a move and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
Yay.
Aye.
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 Yo. Okay. All right. It passes 6-0 unanimously. Thank you. Consent agenda. So my apologies. Now we will go back to the report discussion and discussion action. The first item is item A, which is an update on the 7th grade ELA program and approval of new middle school course outlines. This is slated for 10 minutes, staff. So please keep that in mind with your presentation.
Thank you, President McCaughey. It is our privilege to present to you tonight. This is an action item, as stated by President McCaughey. So we do have a report that is going to be led by our Director of Secondary Education, Josh Butterfield, but also we are bringing back up our Principal of Heart, Caroline Fields, because this is a 7th grade ELA item, as well as our Coordinator of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Sarah Knox. So Josh has been involved in exploratory meetings with the 7th grade team, ELA team, principals, and so forth. So we're excited to talk about what's been going on there. And then the subsequent course outlines that we want you to review and take a look at for approval. So Mr. Butterfield.
Great. Good evening, President McCaughey. Superintendent Geisels just stepped out. Board, community, and cabinet members. We look forward to presenting our 7th grade ELA program review and update and revisions for the board, and we'll have course outlines at the end for approval and discussion along the way. So today we're going to talk about our current 7th grade ELA program, where the current state of affairs are, give an overview of our collaborative planning update, showing how we want to increase student choice and opportunity within our middle school program, and provide our recommended changes that we plan for the 26-27 school year. So this slide represents our current middle school course of study by grade, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, and shows where access points are for A period. And in blue, you'll see where students have elective choices as they move through our middle school program. Particularly, we're only looking in this review today at 7th grade, and we're looking at the ELA program and how that works in context of the elective program as well. So in our current state, what we see is that every 6th grader takes exploratory wheel. A period is provided as access point for music students that may take music as well as a wheel program in 6th grade. In grade 7, all students in grade 7 have one elective choice with 2 periods of ELA. At times, some band music students, not just band students, may take an A period class. So that might look like A period band in addition to a world language, for example, a 7th grade elective. In grade 8, all students on campus get access to 2 electives. One thing that we've identified is that any students that need any sort of intervention or extra support, so this looks like English learners, students with disabilities that might have a lab class, or students in our intervention program. In grade 7, what you've noticed in this model is that they lose their choice for elective, opportunity for elective at that point. So the area or opportunity that we're looking at in particular is that we have some students that have access to two electives with that A-period option and the elective, and then we have our students that we are prioritizing education often losing that choice of elective at the 7th grade levels. So the identified problem of practice is that we have unequal access to 2 electives at the 7th grade level. Our focus student groups, the students that we want to really look at how we're serving academically and from a cultural and connection standpoint, are losing that choice in elective and connection opportunity by having that elective choice. And where I'm looking at through our whole secondary system is that students that get a jump start on their world language or CTE program while they're in middle school have a greater opportunity of completing those programs in high school. And so what's happening is students that aren't able to get that early start on world language or some of our elective programs, when I'm looking at 12th graders exiting our system, we see trends and very predictable data that the students that don't have access to that extra elective in 7th grade often complete those A through G requirements or college entrance requirements at a lower rate than peers that do have access to that. So these are our identified problems or practices of why we're looking at the 7th grade program in particular and why we began this journey. This is not a new process. We've been working on this process for over 20 months now, and this has been a collaborative with our site principals at all 3 middle schools and English teachers from all 3 middle schools as well. So in the spring of 2025, really starting in the winter, we started a comprehensive 7th grade ELA working group. We held collaborative meetings. We completed a program review of our own program and then examined and compared ELA programs from across Bay Area districts and discussed the potential for a single period model rather than a 2-period ELA block. In the fall, we continued that conversation. We generated new ideas for ELA intervention and extension electives, and we've provided an update to the board subcommittee at that same time. And we are here today to present this board our findings and our recommendations for next steps. In our regional ELA program review, so as we look at districts across the Bay Area, what we found is Pleasanton is the only district among the 15 reviewed that provides 2 periods of ELA in 7th grade for students. Every other school district that we examined only provides 1 period of English language arts. And so some common regional practices is 1 period of ELA with additional intervention or enrichment electives. We found in those program reviews, and I know this is also in the board Q&A that was published as well, that we don't see achievement losses during those 6th to 7th grade programs across those school districts. Student achievement data looks pretty consistent even with that single period model. And then what we found is that there's expanded opportunities to electives when we begin in 7th grade. A list of the districts that we compared are listed on the slide as well. As part of that process, the working group with teachers and principals, we completed a SWOT program analysis and we've identified some strengths and concerns. As principals then took that back to their school sites and completed a similar process that Ms. Fields is going to discuss.
Yes, we did. Oh, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, we did it as part of the committee that met with the 3 middle schools and our English Language Arts 7th grade chairs. Really a great conversation there. We brought it back to our department chairs, our instructional leadership team, and it was a really wonderful conversation. We really almost discovered some things that we hadn't thought about in a while, and these were some of the things that I know collectively, but we came up with basically the same list at all three sites. and that we would expand that student choice, which I just think is a wonderful thing. There would be no negative impact to music. In fact, there might be more opportunities. And then some of the other things here, I won't read all of them, that it provides opportunities for access for students of promise. And I do believe that Mr. Butterfield did talk about how that a lot of our students are taking those intervention classes and other things and not having as much access to some of those great enrichment opportunities. And I think it really does eliminate the inequities in course access.
Thank you. And another important point is that this program review and our recommendation to make this adjustment into a 7th grade, a single period class, it really focuses on something Dr. Geisels have discussed multiple times, is that focus on the blues and reds. And so what this allows us to enhance our intervention structures without taking something away from students that need intervention. So right now, when we provide a student an intervention that needs something, we're taking something away in their elective and their choice. And if we make this adjustment, it allows us to serve our student groups who need that without taking away that choice of elective and engagement. And it also enhances our ability to serve our students that are really excelling to seek other enrichment electives as well. So we really feel that the committee came together and feel that this is a strong path forward to enhance our opportunities for all of our students at our middle school campus. Part of that would also include the development of a writer's workshop. We've identified an area of need particularly around writing. So we've talked a lot about reading and how we support reading and literacy across, or reading component of literacy across the district. But we've identified a need to really focus on writing and providing writing interventions. This would allow that without taking away electives for students. And then I'm going to pass it to Ms. Knox, who's going to talk about the creation of 2 new courses that are going to be literacy focused, but elective choice for students that helps promote literacy through choice and electives rather than a mandated second period of ELA.
Thank you. Good evening. So I had the pleasure of meeting with the 7th grade ELA team in November, right before the break, to plan the single period ELA model paired with the new literacy focused electives. Teachers had the opportunity a full day to really think deeply and draft new course outlines that not only were going to be engaging and exciting for students, we want them to sign up for these courses, but that also had that literacy through line to be able to support students with their literacy needs. So the courses are Calling All Creators, Creative Media and Digital Storytelling, with a focus on an outcome for students would be a digital portfolio where they would be able to showcase all of their work for the course of the semester. And then with the second course, it was called Ignite Your Voice, Civic Engagement and Influencing. And that particular course was using the Project Citizen curriculum, which is aligned with We the People that Trustee Jones was alluding to, and Principal Russell was alluding to earlier. So these courses support the new civic engagement pathway by teaching students to research local problems, and this particular one is focused on public policy and having students be engaged in government and presenting their findings through a portfolio. So the staff met throughout the day, planned out the courses, and that is what you have for recommendation for approval this evening. I want to point out that the team, while we had a focused collaboration that day, they did request additional collaboration time to both plan for the new courses, but also to redesign and look at the scope and sequence for the current ELA course and adapt it to fit the model of just one period.
So this last slide just shows the revised course of study for 7th grade, what it might look like for middle school students as they progress through, where they would now have 2 electives in 7th grade, allows us to provide that intervention, provide choice-based, literacy-based electives and civic engagement electives. Both of those electives are also project-based courses, which we're really excited that for students to engage in literacy and civic skills through project rather than more of a traditional classroom structure when we talk about literacy. And we look forward to any discussion from the board or questions.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to turn it back to the board. I'm looking for questions first, then we'll do public comment, and then questions, and then vote. Yes, Trustee Jones.
Wow, try that again. In the subcommittee for policy, sorry, it's only 7:51, for the policy curriculum instruction subcommittee, I brought up SEMA. Were you guys able to find out if there was a middle school version or if it's only high school?
We looked into that. It's only high school.
It's unfortunate. And then the other thing too is, so for you're doing Project Citizen, which is a phenomenal one. Are you also then potentially looking at We the People at the other sites, or just keeping it at the one at the middle school level that you're doing?
Right now, Harvest Park is running it as a club, and I think it started only as a club, so this Project Citizen can develop into that, but we want to let that grow organically and let the sites make those decisions.
All right, I will save my comment.
This curriculum is like the prerequisite to a successful We the People program, so whether or not it established at the middle, it'll support our high schools too.
Oh yeah, no, and like the program that you guys are using is also phenomenal at the high school for government. If you don't want to do We the People, doing the local level government interest.
So just to clarify, I can't remember what I said, but questions first, public comment, then comments. So other questions from fellow trustees? Yes, Trustee Brown.
So just a quick question. I mean, in short, you're replacing the second period of ELA with an elective, and then you're proposing 2 new classes for that elective. The piece I didn't understand with your SWOT analysis, though, is you say mitigates need for extended day. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so right now, if you're a music student and you want to take music and a world language, you would have to take a period to take both of those and start those in 7th grade. We know that starting a world language program in 7th grade helps put students on a path to A through G completion in high school. And so if every student has 2 periods of electives, they wouldn't need to have to come in an hour early to school. They could just take band and ELA during the school day. There would still be a need for like a jazz band outside the school day, so that might continue to exist outside the school day, but it allows every student on campus to have those 2 electives rather than just a small group of students.
Okay, so essentially both grade 7 and grade 8 would have no A period, but grade 6 would still have an A period option, correct? Okay.
Correct, sorry, my mic was off.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, seeing none, I just have one question. I just wanted to confirm for intervention, for students who need intervention support, would they still just have 1 elective instead of 2 for 7th grade?
If they needed a full like self-contained period of elective, it'd be 1, but it would allow us to also position students out of that intervention on a semester level so they can get into that elective at the semester as well, rather than kind of being locked in for the whole year as well, because all these elective courses are semester-long electives. We always try to serve students through intervention without removing that elective first. So Principal Campisi talked about how they're doing stuff before and after school. Principal Fields has an after-school intervention cohort that doesn't force students to drop that elective. So we try to exhaust that first unless a student has very intensive needs and we need to provide that kind of full period model.
Yes, so speaking from experience as a parent who's had a child that had that exhaustive situation where one of my children had to give up the elective. For those students that have an IEP, would they still miss out on one of those electives?
One of the two, but they would
Right.
still have at least an elective, which is
Where
a step forward.
Didn't have one at all.
In our current model, they have no choice
Right,
if they need intervention, which is really struggling for students to
Yep.
and demoralizing in some ways. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that answers my question. So, any other questions? Yes, Trustee Brown.
One very quick question. So this would be effective next school year?
Yeah, correct.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to open this for public comment. Any comments from public comment for this item? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back to the board for comments before we vote.
I want to appreciate you for bringing this forward. I know that at times it can be controversial in Pleasanton, but I think that this is the right direction to go. I went through our middle schools here. I had friends that were tracked because of it, where they would see the same kids every single day, and they would forever see those kids all the way through high school, and no one else would see them. And so I think this really does help with that, and you're opening up those options. My friends in RSP couldn't do foreign language both years. I did, so I had a head start on them. ELD gets locked out of a lot of these, which is so unfair because they can do these things too. So I really appreciate the fact that we are moving this forward and that you worked with these teams to make it possible. My last thing that I would bring up and encourage, because we're looking at meeting these groups of promise. Maybe next year or at some point, reach out to me at Tennyson, because I would love to show you how, like, my department, we just ran a regional. Like, I know that in Amador and Foothill we do it as just one class that people like to sign up for, but you can do it as an entire school thing. So like, I just had at our school a teacher that I think you would love to watch. His whole bilingual class just did their regional competition. All 4 of his sheltered classes did it and competed alongside our college prep and our AP classes. And it was a great thing to see. So like, these students can be a part of it. You just changed the level of the book between 1, 2, and 3, and I think they have a Spanish version as well. And so I think that if we expand it potentially to all of our students in that way at the middle school level, then the pipeline to include more of those students that we don't typically see in that program at the high school level would increase, and I think that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Trustee Brown.
Just a quick question. If we're, well, I'll make a comment first. So right now I have a student in grade 7 that does A period. The one advantage of A period is when you have an elementary school and a middle school next to each other, you can drop your kid off at elementary school and drop your kid off at middle school at the same time. Whereas I have a grade 8 student and they have to wait an hour for the middle school to open up. So just a sidebar from a parent perspective, when you don't have A period, it does mean that you now have 2 drop-offs. So just FYI. Does that result in any savings for the district not having an A period in grade 7?
When we don't need that A period, it allows us to be more efficient with our staffing, with our FTE. So we don't provide extra staff to run those A periods. So every time you run a class outside the school day, it has a ripple effect of class sizes throughout the school day. So while it doesn't save costs, other direction that the board has given in the prior meetings, it allows principals to be more flexible with the resources that they have.
It goes back to the allocation, starting with, for the enrollment that determines the FTE. Then the principals, like Ms. Fields, has the opportunity to look at what courses are students choosing, what electives they're choosing, and so forth. So it's really up to the sites to determine that A period option. But as Mr. Butterfield said, it's not like we're providing extra FTE, right, Namarta, Ms. Graywall, for that purpose.
To be super direct, if through the process staffing ratios change and we provide less staff to a principal in this case, this allows them to have less of an impact to class sizes throughout the school day with that kind of decision. So this is going to help other direction that the board's already given to alleviate the impact to every classroom on campus.
Yeah, I just was trying to figure out whether it's net positive to the last budget reductions effort or not. Whether it sounds like it's just it ties back to the staffing ratio.
It lessens the impact to the staffing ratio. So the students and teachers would feel less impact by those kind of decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Trustee Karen.
No, I just want to say that I appreciate the data that you shared, that saying that it is not harmful to our students, and in fact this would be very good. And I appreciate that we could do intervention, and I appreciate that the choices in the new curriculum. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and I appreciate your time and effort in this.
Trustee Vice President Walker.
Yes. Okay. I appreciate the data because I did ask the comparables between the districts who have one period, and I realize we're the only district that doesn't do it. I just want to focus on your statement, Director Butterfield, that we can focus on the blues and the reds. That was very impactful to me. The fact that our ELD and our certain groups did not have a choice, it's very meaningful. Now they will have a choice, and we're not taking something away from them. So it was and that our excelling students can now take enrichment courses. So I think this is a very positive step in the right direction, and I applaud your efforts. So thank you to you and your committees. Thank you.
Okay, I just like to conclude with and echo my fellow trustees' statements that I'm a huge proponent of project-based learning, and I applaud the district staff for putting this together. I understand probably the ideology of having the combo classes initially. There was good thought to it, but obviously the needs of our students have evolved and changed, and I really appreciate the equity element for our students, and in particular for our most vulnerable students who might have to not have an opportunity for electives. So I really appreciate you addressing the equity aspect as well. So applaud for your hard work and can't wait to see the changes. So thank you. So with that, we are looking for a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, it has been motioned and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Aye, and it passes unanimously 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So, okay, next in line, this will be a lengthy discussion. So discussion and action for the fiscal year 2025-26. First interim budget. I'm doing this for staff's benefit for timing. We have earmarked 40 minutes for the discussion. Now, certainly that if you need all that time, you've got it. If you can get it done in less than that time, that's fine. And so I'm going to pass it off to the district for your presentation.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm just going to get set up here in a second. Great. Good evening, board, staff, and community. Tonight, I will be presenting, along with our director, Ann Wells, our first interim report for the 25-26 budget. We'll cover the high-level executive summary, and then we'll kind of dive deep into some of the budget monitoring and controls that we've put in place, and then we'll go into the first interim adjustments, and then look at the revenues, expenditures, and then we'll talk about the multi-year and how we have built in the board-approved reductions, and we'll look at the other funds the district manages, and then we'll conclude and talk about next steps. So the first interim report has gone through a pretty rigorous process in updating it, both internally, and we received significant support from a fiscal consultant appointed by the county, as well as our own internal person that we brought aboard to support some of our work as well. And through that work, we have updated the budget. The improvements in our fiscal condition from adopted budget to first interim is that at the adopted budget, we had about a $5.8 million deficit that we were projecting, and we've been able to improve that by about 2.5 million, or 1% positive in our ending fund balance. However, it does fall short of what we were trying to accomplish in the 45-day budget update projections. And I just want to remind everyone, the 45-day budget update is not a full budget. It's basically, and it doesn't become the official budget. It's an update that we do based on our spreadsheets on, okay, we have this much more income, we can make reductions in certain areas. So it's not a full-blown budget, but it is a 1% negative variance from that 45-day, and we'll go into some of the in-depth of what those changes are. During this period, the board approved and then the state approved the $11 million of transfer from the sale of property to the general fund, and that was resolution 2526.08. Those committed funds, those funds are in a committed and in the stabilization fund. And that restricts the ability by which they can be utilized in our general fund. While they do, the stabilization fund does help us meet our minimum state required economic uncertainty. If our ending fund balance falls below zero, which we are currently projecting that it will be 2.5 million, that is considered a negative unappropriated fund balance. And for that reason, the district is recommending a negative certification to the county superintendent of schools for the current fiscal year. And that will trigger additional obligations on our part in terms of oversight and other requirements, and which we'll go into a little bit more detail in the report. In order to clear that and to get back in positive certification, we need to clear our negative balance. Again, we'll be working closely with the county and FCMAT as they come on line with us here in the next few weeks. This is a summary of our fiscal position, and what we see here is on the unrestricted side, the district's total revenues for based on the first interim, and then you'll see the total expenditures is about 144.4 million. Then you'll see a large transfer in. That transfer in includes that $11 million. And then we contribute to two restricted programs, which is special education, and we also have the routine restricted maintenance. We're backing out to get to kind of that net true increase or decrease in our budget. We back out the committed and stabilization fund, and that's where you get the negative 4.6. We have a beginning balance which helps us, which is the $2.4 million. Including that committed and stabilization funds, we have an ending balance of 8.8. But we talked about the way it's being looked at because of both the state requirements and the board's actions is that $11 million has to be kind of taken out to see where our adjusted ending fund balances. And so that's how we get to the 2.5 million being the adjusted negative balance. And then again, to get back to positive certification, we need to get this cleared. And we'll kind of talk about that in the next slides. On the restricted side, you can see that our revenues are about 42 million. We have more expenditures because we are spending on restricted programs that are not fully funded, special education in particular, and so that's why you have the transfer in. There is a negative, also a deficit in that, but that fund has a large beginning balance, and it will end with a positive balance as well. And the total 14.4 is when you add the monies from the stabilization and committed plus the restricted is where you get to the 15. This year we've done significant work in establishing best practices to sustain those. Some things are very immediate and tangible, such as enhancing our purchase order, making sure contracts process approvals are tightened. We're also have instituted rigorous budget monitoring and to actuals basically on a weekly basis. We meet regularly with the departments and we talk through what's going on in their budgets and making sure that invoices are coming in and we're paying and we're really up to date on everything. As we know, because of the cash flow challenges that we have to also watch cash flow closely. And we've been updating the board regularly on that, and the district has taken out both internal borrowing and borrowed from the county. The good news I can report is the other day the county deposited over $37 million into our account from our local property taxes, and we're going to be in good cash balance for the next several months as we wait for the large April deposit as well. We've worked on strengthening position control, but a lot of these improvements will take time to really reap the benefits of those improvements as we get stronger in some of these areas. We are meeting regularly with the Alameda County, and we have a very strong fiscal advisor, a deputy superintendent, former deputy superintendent of the Marin County, and she was a business person and has strong accounting background, and she's been supporting us, as well as Annette Hellman in developing and reviewing the first interim. So we feel very positive about that. There is more work to be done. And one of the areas that I've been reflecting on is, I think as a district we need to change our philosophy of budgeting. We have been budgeting pretty lean and tight, and any variations can lead to some of the challenges we have. So if you budget lean, you better have reserves that can handle that. But we don't have those reserves. So we also have to look at kind of budgeting a little bit more conservatively and strategically looking at areas of risk in the budget and appropriating the appropriate level of contingency. So I look forward to working with our co-workers at the county and also FCMAT to be able to kind of incorporate some of those best practices and kind of update our budgeting philosophy as well. There's significant amount of details, and the adjustments that we're going to be looking at are really adjustments between the original budget, which is the adopted official budget, and the first interim. And we see that there's a significant movement of funds, a decrease in the unrestricted revenues, and that's primarily because the state's allocation of the one-time block grant was not designated when those monies were identified, and just recently when they identified them, they identified that increase to be in the restricted side. So that's why a significant portion of money has been pulled out. We do see a little bit more money coming in LCFF because we have a higher unduplicated count. We'll get into that in a little bit, and some other local dollars. Compared to the first interim, we were able to reduce our unrestricted expenditures, and that occurred through some reductions in expenditures, but also a significant change in our indirect costs. We fully charged all the various restricted and other funds that were allowable, and so that allowed us to improve our standing. You will see some increased costs in operations. We did have legal settlements. We did have other areas in the budget that we didn't capture during budget development. Technology licenses, we had an athletic trainer, and so again, I think as we improve our budgeting processes, hopefully we will capture those or have systems in place that recognize those type of things occur. And there are unknowns that also occur. We did have additional leaves this year, especially in administration, that we were not planning for. Looking at on the restricted side, first we're going to look at the increased revenues. So great, we do like to see those positive increased revenues, but a large chunk of that is the discretionary block grant. That's that $4 million. And the remaining grants, they are grants that have associated expenditures with them. But we also see a significant support from our community through local donations, and so we account for those donations as they come in. They're specific to schools and different programs and so on and so forth. So those dollars are tied and are restricted. So on the corresponding expenditure side, when you see revenues coming in, especially in the restricted, you're going to see increased cost. The majority of these increased expenditures are self-balancing in the sense that there's associated revenues and grant programs, and now those costs are being allocated to the appropriate areas. But you will see a plus 284, about $300,000 in salaries and benefits in special education, and you will see another about $500,000 in increased cost related to services and operations. And those are based on, some of those may be items that additional needs the program had as we updated it, and some of it may be reflected as to areas that have been increasing. So it is a complicated picture, but one that we're working through diligently. So I'm going to turn it. Well, I got one more slide. Yeah, one more slide is fine. So this slide now looks at the unrestricted variance with a 45-day budget. And so at the 45-day budget, again, it was not a full budget. We looked at new revenues coming in, which was primarily the block grant, and so we booked it on the unrestricted side, and we just talked about how the state shifted it to the restricted side. So we made that adjustment. On the expenditures, you will see a net increase. We were trying to get down to about $144,190. We got a net increase of about $250. Within that $250, there is a lot going on in terms of, again, we talked about some of the settlement costs, some legal cost increases, positions that were not included during adopted budget. We did also see some increases to staffing around enrollment. And in terms of increased healthcare costs as well was another area that we saw. So again, there's a lot of movement within that, but the net increase on the unrestricted was the $250. We also have quite a bit of adjustments in the contribution. Before I get to the contributions, the transfers in. The main adjustment here in the first interim is the $11 million, but we also reduced our expected revenues from Fund 63. The program is growing, but it hasn't grown due to space and other factors as we thought, so we've kind of dialed that back down. We'll reevaluate that at second interim. In terms of the contributions, you will see a decrease, but in actuality, the contribution has increased because we've allocated all of the $4 million of block grant to our special education program. So that's very important to follow those dollars. Again, we back out the $11 million, then you see the true difference between the two is about an increase of $3 million, but we did end the year at a better, so we ended we closed the year with a higher balance, and so you see that positive, and you can see the numbers as they flow through, which is about a 1% variance, and then that variance is a composite of many components. The most significant component was some of the reductions were not realized in special education, and we actually had to augment their budget in other areas. Now, one of the areas that we're following is we did have to increase the certificated teachers and special education budget. We have yet to see if through hiring internally we're going to be able to close some of the contracted services. So if that becomes a realization, we'll see that in the second interim. There has also been additional services that have needed to be provided due to the students and their needs. So there's more work to be done on that side that I think will be clarified by the second interim. But at this moment, we had to increase the budgets because we were going to internally hire more special ed teachers. So I'm going to turn it over now to Mrs. Wells to kind of cover some of the high-level revenues and expenditures on the first interim.
Thank you. Total district revenues for 25-26 at first interim are projected at $215.3 million. Of that, $42.9 million, or about 23%, is restricted, meaning these dollars must be used for specific programs. The district continues to rely heavily on the state. Although 60% of our LCFF funding comes from local property taxes, the overall LCFF funding levels are determined by the state formula. Within LCFF, we receive $5 million in supplemental grant funding to support English learners, low-income students, and foster and homeless youth. This year's LCFF includes a 2.3% COLA, but after adjustments for declining enrollment, the effective growth is only 0.77%. As a reminder, LCFF revenue is based on the 3-year rolling ADA average, helping to cushion the financial impact of declining enrollment. Moving on to our local control funding formula factors, the district enrollment has declined by approximately 1,867 students compared to 2019-20 levels. For planning, 26-27 enrollment has been further reduced by 100 students based on current indicators. Our unduplicated pupil percentage, or UPP, has risen. Again, this is our English learners, students in the free and reduced price lunch program, and foster and homeless youth. So this increased our supplemental grant funding. The projected COLA for 26-27 is revised to 2.53%, down from the previously adopted estimate of 3.02. But again, after adjusting for declining enrollment, the effective COLA is a negative 0.11%. This change reflects current economic indicators and updated fiscal guidance. The governor's January budget proposal for 26-27 will be the next major update impacting LCFF funding assumptions. Breaking down our 25-26 LCFF funding, the current estimate of total LCFF funding is $164.1 million. That's a base grant of $145.5 million, the primary component of our funding. A grade span adjustment of $5 million for TK3 and 9 through 12. The supplemental grant of $5.1 million. Home to school transportation reimbursement for special education of $776,000. The transitional kindergarten add-on is $2 million, and our economic recovery target of $5.6 million, and that component does not receive COLA. Reviewing our enrollment and ADA funding, this chart shows historical enrollment compared to LCFF ADA funding for Pleasanton. This includes growth in transitional kindergarten enrollment. During the state's temporary hold harmless years, funding levels were protected even as attendance fell, creating an unusual inverse relationship between ADA funding and actual ADA. Today, the 3-year ADA average continues to soften the impact of enrollment loss, but the inverse from the hold harmless has fallen off. Updated enrollment projections are expected in January, which will inform our future calculations. Then comparing revenues per ADA, this is in 23-24, which is the most recent data from eddata.org. Pleasanton received about $16.6 thousand per ADA, compared with $22.125 per ADA for the average unified school district. This places Pleasanton near the bottom among neighboring districts, most of which receive additional revenue from a local parcel tax, a revenue stream that Pleasanton does not currently have. Diving into our first interim expenditure highlights, total expenditures for 25-26 are projected at $227.2 million. As with most districts, salaries and benefits represent the majority of these costs at 83.6% of total spending. Our restricted expenditures total $82.8 million. And then the general fund contributes $35.7 million to support restricted programs. That's $22.2 million for special education and $6.5 million for routine restricted maintenance, the state required 3% set aside. Additionally, as mentioned previously, the district is using the $4 million student support and professional development discretionary block grant to help offset rising special education costs for this year. Further highlighting a few points on our unrestricted expenditures, we have $98.9 million projected in salaries and $32.7 million in benefits, which combined makes up the majority of unrestricted spending. The other large portion is the contribution we have to make to the restricted programs, as mentioned, $35.7 million supporting special education and routine restricted maintenance requirements. And now Assistant Superintendent Sheikh Islami will review key assumptions and first interim updates.
Great, thank you. So these are some other important assumptions that the district has built into it. So we did revise the local revenue transfer in from the Gatan lease because we didn't fully pay off that lease, so that we have to keep some of the money to be able to pay for the remaining $5 million of COP we have on that. So I think we reduced it by about $200,000. We are utilizing our OPEB trust fund, and we are drawing that down. And so for 25-26, it's a $2 million drawdown, and next 27-28, it's another $1 million. So we have to be cognizant of that we can't fully drain that fund. Those are one-time dollars, and so we'll have to, in the future years, make adjustments as those dollars will not continually be there. We have incorporated, and we'll go into the details of the $11 million of reductions. In addition to that $11 million of reductions, the salary cost in 26-27 includes an alignment of staffing to enrollment, because we do know enrollment it will go down, and that the placeholder is 16 teaching positions have also been incorporated into the budget. We have seen increased healthcare costs as usage has increased, and so those will continue going out in the out years. And then we built into the model a 4% growth in services and operating, a 3% growth in books and supplies, and 2% increase in our contribution to special education. The budget does include funds for the movement in the salary schedule for our employees, but no additional compensation above that, and every additional 1% is about 1.7 for the entire group. We also remove, on the restricted side, revenues and expenditures from one-time grants. So one-time grants will come in, you'll see the expenditures, and then so we have to remove them in the out years. Now, sometimes those grants can be spent over several years, so we will modify those assumptions later in the year once we see how the expenditures have been going. This slide summarizes the expenditures that we've been talking about. These balances will change. If the programs spend some more this year, they'll change. If they spend less, they'll get modified. But those are the restricted dollars that we're assuming that we'll end the year with. We do have some monies in non-spendables, and then there's the $11 million that is in the stabilization and the committed for particular expenditures. Now, in the future, if there are expenditures such as the PARs that we're going to offset, we can utilize those funds, and we can look at our future expenditures to see if there are one-time type of expenditures that would fit into it. So again, this kind of summarizes where all the dollars are, and again, we get to this negative 2.5 because we have to back out these dollars from the total ending fund balance. This graphically shows how the district, again, we were deficit prior to the pandemic, but the year of the pandemic, our reserves were at its peak, and that through that structural deficit that we've had, we've exhausted our reserves. Again, without that $11 million, this is showing the graph without the $11 million. Again, our ending fund balance is only at $8 million due to the dollars we transferred earlier in the year. The next slide represents where the reductions are made between the unrestricted and restricted for 26-27 based on board direction. And so we do see it totals to about the $11.14 million. There's about $25,000 of it that are outside of the general fund. And then in 27-28, you'll see that some of those dollars do come back because some of those reductions were one-time in nature. And then half of the reductions currently planned are to be negotiated. So as we work through with our labor partners and things change, we will incorporate those into the 26-27 budget once they're finalized. This slide here kind of in a nutshell shows the multi-year projections. Again, we've gone through the numbers this year. If we had the 3% economic reserve, it would be about 6.8. Next year and the following year, it's a little bit less because we're spending less. It's 3% of total expenditures. Next year, with the reductions, we're doing really good in terms of getting to that balanced budget of revenues and expenditures matching each other. You see that very small negative $25,000 or 26. But then in the following year, that deficit starts to grow back. Two reasons. One, not all the reductions were ongoing, and two, we are seeing the impacts of a lower COLA and the declining enrollment and also increasing costs. As you see some of that coming back for that purpose. So if you think about that, if you go back to this slide, it's about somewhere around $900,000, and then you see the 1.6 there. So it's really critical to note that we are awaiting for the governor's budget. So that will really update us in terms of our COLA assumptions. We also have to see what the governor is going to do with some of the Prop 98 revenue increases. While the state is struggling overall, there is been some increased revenues, especially around income taxes and some of the AI and technology-based industries. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Again, these are projections. If we do end the year better through reduction efforts and cost savings and vacancies, this 2.5 can be better, but there are other unknowns that we may hit as well. Finally, these are the indicators that I've shown in the past. I now have added the first interim numbers, and so we can see that some of our hard work and efforts in terms of moderating our salary costs, which is our largest one, are starting to have an effect. We still continue to see rising healthcare costs as more people are participating in the program. We do see a leveling off of the increase in pension costs, and that's correlated again to the salaries. And then the special ed, we are seeing a slight tempering of it, but not a leveling off. Again, we are projecting to be slightly higher than where we were last year. The next slide is kind of the hard work that the district did do last year, and we're comparing last year's FTE with first interim, and you see about a net reduction of 55. Those total numbers do include a certain number of vacancies, about 46, 4 of which are frozen, and then we have 13 positions filled by contractors as well. And then finally, got 8 minutes still, I'll finish. We do manage many other funds, and I'm happy to report that our adult education fund is in good standing. It does bring in its own revenues and has its own expenditures, but we see a healthy ending fund balance. The Child Development Fund is our California Schools preschool program. Again, it's in good standing. And our cafeteria fund, which is our child nutrition, again, is in good standing. The state is requiring us to have a plan to bring down that ending fund balance because you're not supposed to accumulate too much. So we are improving the facilities and using those dollars to improve our kitchen facilities and have a plan with the state to do that. We are watching Fund 63. This is our TK to 5 early and after school and summer programs. And so we are going to be kind of reevaluating both their revenues and their expenditures. They do have some capital expenditures this year to ensure that ongoing transfers can occur with that program. The Sycamore Fund is the fund from the sale of property. Again, if you remember when we decided to pay off the $25 million and transfer the 11 to the general fund, we did make the board made a decision to keep some dollars there for potential future needs to look at property, especially for our MOT area. The Deferred Maintenance Fund, we don't use it, but it still exists. The Measure I and I-1, which is Fund 21, is our bond program. Again, it's in good condition. The Fund 25 is developer fee dollars, and we'll get a report shortly on that. Again, it's in good standing. Those dollars pay for our portables, and they also will be utilized for the schools that need the growth, particularly Alisal, which the district is planning to replace and modernize. Fund 35 is where our where the state monies to match our bond program comes in, and then we'll use those for the bond program corresponding projects. Finally, we talk about the OPEB, that those dollars are being drawn down. In the second interim, we'll update that. We're not showing here the $2 million of drawdown in the current fiscal year that's actually going to occur. And then finally, Fund 40, the capital outlay, that is the fund we use for other projects outside the bond, such as the adult education modernization work that we're doing. Okay, now I'm shifting to what does it mean to not be positive. And so the state has built an AB 1200, which is its warning system on alerting the board and the community of fiscal challenges. And so positive certification means you meet all your obligations and for the current and upcoming years. When you're qualified, it becomes it's a may. Depends on a variety of factors. In our case, the county has advised us that we should file this as negative because in the current year, they do not see us, and we have not projected that we would be able to meet our obligations. Now, we are able to meet our and pay for our expenses because we have the $11 million and other funds. However, those funds cannot be relied upon to meet that certification requirement. So again, we're been advised to go negative, and now that status of negative does bring with it additional support from the county, a fiscal advisor. It brings in FCMAT and to help the district. And you can see that the county and the state now have a variety of options to support the district. And some of those things we have already been doing, but the county will officially appoint a fiscal advisor, and they will officially ask FCMAT to come in and do a fiscal analysis. That information will be provided to the board as we go through this process, as well as other supports as the county sees needed. Additionally, any type of labor agreements will need to be submitted to the county in advance before the board takes action. A minimum of 10 days in advance, they need to receive that, and then they will respond back to us on that. So again, finally, we continue the rigorous work, and we look forward to working with the county and FCMAT with the additional oversight. We need to make sure and ensure that the budget reductions are finalized and developed in the 26-27. We are looking forward to seeing the governor's last budget as he will be terming out. But in January we'll report that back, and then the next budget report to the board, in addition to all the other work that we're doing in the meantime, is the second interim, which is our expenditures through January 31st. We're pretty sure that the county is going to require us to do a third interim, and that will come to the board in June. And we're going to we're starting to shift into budget development for 26-27, which the board will approve in June of 2026. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Actually, just due to nature of the time, I'm going to open this for public comment, if there are any comments from public comment, just because we might have a lengthy conversation. Okay, all right, thank you. We'll close public comment. So I'd like to follow the same format. Let's do questions first, and then have everyone do questions, and then we'll do comments. So yes, Trustee Brown.
Okay. So I have 5 questions, but I'm going to ask 2, and then let other trustees, and then come back to me. So first question, slide 9, the reallocation of revenues from unrestricted to restricted. So how much of that is discretionary? Because, the variance of where was it? The variance of about $3 million obviously makes the restricted positive, but the unrestricted negative, right? So how much of that redetermination of revenues into restricted was conservatism, mandated by the state? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The amount of funds that the state required us to report in the restricted rather than unrestricted is $3.97 million. But if you're comparing the first interim to the adopted budget, at first interim, I believe, and we had about $1 million because we didn't know exactly what that block grant was going to be. So we had about $1 million allocated in the budget for receiving from the block grant. And then when the state finalized it, it was about $3.97 million. So there's about a movement of about $1 million from the original budget to the restricted side, plus the other, plus accounting for the amount they gave to us. Does that answer your question?
No. So you've got, I'm trying to track that you're showing.
Are you looking at, is this a slide you're looking at?
Slide 9.
Okay.
Unrestricted variance from 45-day budget update. So that variance of $3.7 million, right? That obviously, that is essentially driving the the unrestricted to negative because we're increasing our contributions to the restricted. Or we're reallocating revenues to the restricted.
Yeah, okay, so I follow. So in this case, yes, we have reallocated the money because in the 45-day budget, we included pretty much the entirety of the $4 million in the unrestricted. So that adjustment is occurring. Where you see the other adjustment is in the contribution, because if you look at the contributions, it went from 36.92 at 45-day budget, that's what we were assuming, to about 35.7. And so you would say, well, wait a minute, what happened there? What happened is that we reduced our contribution because we're now utilizing that $4 million on the restricted side to pay for special ed cost. And so the combination of the two, if you actually added the $4 million to the contributions, you can see there's actually a net increase of about $2.75 million to the restricted side. So I don't know if that helps, because that's what's happening. It's a shifting of the dollars to the restricted side, but then it's a reduction in our contribution because now we're accounting for it in the restricted.
I get that. So we're moving $3.7 million in revenues to restricted. Therefore, we're reducing the contribution because the costs go with the revenues, essentially. But what is the $3.7 million? Why is it that now we believe that $3.7 million has to be allocated to restricted, whereas before we thought that $3.7 million could be attributed with unrestricted? What changed?
That was the state's designation.
The state's designation on the block grant.
Correct.
But that was only $1 million. I'm talking $3.7 million.
No. So in the adopted budget, we thought the state was going to give us $1 million. In the 45-day budget, we knew they were going to give us more. So we increased it to the close to $4 million, and we kept it on the unrestricted side. Come October, they say, oh, the $4 million needs to be deposited on your restricted side. And so when we updated the first interim, that's when the shift occurred.
Sorry, just to interject, can you explain why they said it had to be restricted? Just to expand on what you're saying.
It's the state's discretion. They advise school districts to spend it on particular areas, but then at the end said, and rising cost. And they also designated it as a discretionary. Again, that would be a question for the California Department of Education to respond to. But in the way what we've done with it is it nets out, right? Because we've contributed less now to our restricted side because we've accounted for it on the other side.
Well, it doesn't net out because you're losing $3.7 million from the unrestricted revenues, and you're decreasing the transfers by $1.2 million. That is $2.5 million, which is conveniently the amount that we're now negative on the unrestricted. That's
correct.
My question.
The reason we're negative is because our overall expenditures have increased, and predominantly it's in the restricted side. It's in the restricted side in that we didn't capture all of the reductions we were hoping in the 45-day, and we had to actually increase some of the budget areas in special ed.
So it's down there at the bottom of the bullet where you're saying the $2.75 million mainly driven by not realizing the reductions in special education. That's what you're talking about, correct?
Correct.
Special education costs are restricted.
Correct. And that's why the designation of it in the restricted, it made the most sense to allocate it to special education and then reduce our contribution. And so if you look at the multi-year, next year, the contribution goes back up because those one-time dollars are not there. And so if you, again, that's, it's in the backup information. When you look at the MYP, you'll see that our contribution to special education increases back up.
Okay, I'll ask my second of 5 and then hand it over to another trustee. How much have we budgeted for textbooks, technology, or buses and vans in 26-27 or 27-28?
We have not included, for buses and vans, we have not included. For technology, we have been predominantly paying most of our purchases of computers and stuff through the bond program. And books and supplies, that's one thing that we're going to look into. We, as of now, I'm not aware of a significant book adoption, but if the curriculum and instruction team is making a purchase with existing dollars, maybe lottery dollars or other dollars, utilizing those dollars, we could offset that through the committed funds.
Sorry, Trustee Brown, really quick. Under the curriculum and instruction, it was, I believe it was, we were looking at using the money from this fund to cover the math textbook adoption. And ELA, because that's what we were being told. So if we're not,
I'm sorry, repeat
yeah,
that, please.
I don't believe it's this year. It would be next fiscal year. And so if that is the case, that those adoptions are going to be ready and finalized, then we can utilize those dollars to pay for those adoptions.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, Trustee Jones, you're saying that according to what you were informed, that some grants were going to help pay for the, I mean, just repeat what you said.
So the fund that we're currently talking about, like the 11 million, that the stabilization fund, in curriculum and instruction, we're being told that the money to pay for the textbook adoptions, especially for math, at least, is going to come out of that fund. So that's why I just wanted to verify.
Thank you. Okay, so Trustee Brown said he has additional questions, but he's going to hold. So Trustee Jones, you interjected and asked some questions. Do you have any other questions to ask? And then I'll pass it to Trustee Carrion.
There might be a multi-part to this, but first, can you give me an up, because you mentioned the fund for property, we kept the $2 million in there. Can you give me, what is the update on finding a new MOT location?
Good question. So we actually had a city liaison meeting the other day, and so and that's public information. We gave a robust report. We have looked at multiple sites. There hasn't been the perfect site. One might be too big. One might be for sale. The other one might be for lease. And so one of the sites is a little bit smaller, but it is possible. So we're right now kind of reimagining our space needs, really looking at like what do we really need in terms of the square footage in the program to try to tighten things up. And so, for example, those efforts to improve our kitchen facilities throughout might lend itself that we don't need another central storage area that we currently have. We've gone to a just-in-time delivery model for most of our supplies and materials. So we're reevaluating that. We have some property options, but nothing yet to bring forward to the board.
All right, because, okay, that's perfect, because I would just remind everyone, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good, because that is the last thing holding up the Burnell property, and we have options.
Okay, Trustee Carrion.
I have several, but I will start with my two and then pass it on. So first of all, I just want to say that I'm very frustrated that we're in this position, that we have a negative $2.5 million. It sounds like we didn't make enough cuts last year. I don't know. I don't know how we got to this position. But my question is, you've said several times, once we clear the balance, once we clear this negative balance, then we'll be okay. But it sounds to me like we have to find $2.5 million. How do we clear this negative balance?
Good question. So there's going to be multiple avenues. One is we first have to see where the state lands next year in their budget, right? We also have to see where we are in our budget. It is currently, this is our projection based on everything that we know. If we do end the year better, that negative will be a smaller amount. If the state allocates through their current budgeting, they're going to have to allocate basically a settle-up payment to school districts, and they have more dollars that they have to figure out through Prop 98. So the state tends to not want to give these dollars in an ongoing basis because it's a long-term obligation. So they tend to find programs or discretionary or block grants. If those dollars come in, we can designate it to basically settle up. We've internally borrowed against ourselves, right? And so those are methods. And then the district can look at making reductions next year, but it doesn't have to be $2.5 million. Right now, we're projecting a negative $1.5 million next year. So that because that is the projection of what we're shy of next year. This year's a little bit larger because remember the PARS payment next year will help us pay for for a one-time expenditure.
Okay, but I guess I'm confused because it says the negative says that we're not going to be able to pay our bills. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that not correct?
Well, we are going to be able to pay our bills because we still have a positive ending fund balance due to the committed and the stabilization dollars. However, we can't dip into it and just move on. When you have your own reserve of, let's say, $10, $12 million, you can go into that reserve and you move on. But in this case, because the board and the state said you have to spend the dollars in these designated areas and your stabilization money is set aside, and if you're going to spend it, you need to come back to the state. They're there, but they're not there. They're there in terms of cash flow purposes that we're able to kind of absorb, but we're obligated to restore those dollars to be able to return to a positive certification.
More question, and then I do have more questions. It says when we agreed to the $11 million, it says any one-time general fund purpose, we could move that money there. So my question is, since we were at a negative, could we move that money if the board decides?
We can reallocate the committed. Let's say, for example, there's another one-time area that we want to reallocate to. The problem with reallocating the stabilization is once you reallocate the stabilization, then you don't have the 3%. Right? That stabilization of about $7 million represents the 3% that we need to hold. So again, if we didn't have that negative, we were above, that stabilization would meet the requirements of the 3%, and we would be able to have positive certification.
Understand. Okay. So our student board rep, Trustee Kersich? No? Okay. Trustee Walker?
Thank you, Trustee Carrion. You asked a couple of mine. Ahmad, can you elaborate on you alluded to the special education, the contracted services we're not gonna see until the second interim, the fallout of hiring in-house. Okay, can you elaborate on that more?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, the special education department, based on the needs of the students, opens up contract services for various providers. And sometimes we have been able in the last, I believe, I'm trying to look at it, we have been able to pick up 3 or 4 hard-to-fill special ed positions.
At least. I know just recently speech therapists AAC specialists and so forth, we've been able to hire in-house, therefore not necessitating the contractor. And TVI, visually impaired.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Why don't we see that now?
Yeah, so I was going to get to that. So some of those are either have recently happened or are about to happen. And so those services still are either ongoing or about to get curtailed. Until they're actually ended and the last invoices from those services come in, we don't close them, right? Because if we close them early without knowing, then we can be in another trouble. So it takes usually several months from the time a new employee comes, that caseload is transferred properly to the our employee, that then then the staff can work on, okay, let's close it, let's make sure we've paid it, and then so that's why I was saying that some of that will be reevaluating for the second interim. In the meantime, as that's been going on, we've also had additional services that were not planned for in the adopted budget. You know, it could be new student or new type of services, and that goes back to what I was talking about, building a budget that kind of builds into it, kind of does a risk analysis and says, in this area the risk is high, therefore let's set aside a certain buffer or contingency in those programs. And so that's one of the things I really want to look further into with our fiscal advisor and FCMAT, and making a more resilient budget model.
I think I already know the answer, but of the 46.6 FTE vacancies for a frozen, the other ones are not frozen because they're dealing with safety and.
Correct. So those are what we did, and this is kind of like in that enhanced or more rigorous. Before first interim, we ran all of our vacancy reports, and then we shared that with every department, right? And then we said, are these positions that you are still trying to fill, or these are positions that you are not going to be filling? If they are not going to fill it, we then zeroed out the budget. If they are going to fill it, we zeroed out, we did a 30-70, because 30% of the year is gone, 70% of the year remains, and so we kept dollars to be able to fill those positions. And then between now and second interim, we'll know more what's going on with those vacancies. The frozen ones we completely took out because we all agreed we're freezing them. And then between now and then, if there's any other type of resignations, we'll then we can consider them and see if we can have savings. On the flip side of that is we also have leaves, right? Sometimes there's unexpected leaves, unexpected things happen on the other side. The ones we know about are in the budget. The ones we don't know about are the unexpected ones.
Okay, so I'm going to ask two questions. I really like the impromptu 2 questions pass. So I will ask 2 questions and I'll pass it to my fellow trustees in consideration of time. So I'm going to take a step back and just ask some just more generic questions. When we went to qualified status, was it indicative that we would trigger automatically to the negative status? So in other words, I was under the impression that we would be, to that qualified status and we might stay there a little while, and then the negative was not really discussed as an imminent factor. So
yeah,
that's my question.
No, it's a good question. And so, and Maurice and I have gone back and forth with this because it gets a little confusing. So our adopted budget was neither qualified nor negative. What it was is it didn't, originally the budget did not meet the requirements to be approved. So the county did a conditional approval, not a qualified or negative, because the qualified or negative status gets established at either the first interim or the second interim. So what they did is they said you have your budget is conditionally approved. And then they laid out 6 items. Of the 6 items, we've hit 5 of them, right?
Five of the 6.
5 of the 6. We've improved our systems. The board committed to making reductions. They passed a resolution. The board had a public process to make reductions. We had better ending fund balance, so we posted that. I'm trying to remember what but the most one of the most important ones was you have indicated your 45-day budget is going to be X, and at that time we were our heads above water. We're in that positive. Oh, I remember the other important one. You're going to move $11 million to shore up the reserves. The shoring up of the reserves and the 45-day budget meeting those 45-day budgets worked hand in hand. Had we hit the 45-day budget numbers and transferred the $11 million, that we could have certified as positive. The counties met with us prior. We had multiple meetings with the superintendent, and as we were looking at the data, they indicated, we do not see you meeting the targets you put on the 45-day budget. We went through our rigorous budget updating process, and we said, you're right. At this moment, we see a negative 2.5. That got, our fiscal advisor also agreed with that conclusion, and they said, well, if that's the case, then you need to, we highly recommend that the district certifies negative and get the additional support both from the county and from FCMAT.
Okay, so to back it up further, in your experience, how common, like let's just put it to the Alameda County, currently, are there other districts that are going to be in this status, and how common is it? How long would we anticipate to be in this space?
Yeah, another good question. I think typically there might be somewhere between 25 to 30 districts in a negative status. We'll have to see if this year is going to be more than prior years.
Out of the state of California?
Out of the state of California. There might be more qualified. I believe in the county there might be 4 or 5 that might be
currently.
That this term, I believe, that might be negative. That's what the county indicated to us. Again, we don't know until they actually do what we're doing right now. And it does take some time to get ourselves out of a negative certification. It may take a couple of cycles. A lot's going.
Cycles meaning years?
No, a couple of budget cycles. And so we have first interim, second interim, adopted budget. So it could take several cycles. It all depends on our ability to make the needed reductions. It depends on the factors from the state in terms of the cost of living. It depends on enrollment. And then again, it depends on the wild card of what's the state going to do with this settle up, true up monies from that they are now having to deal with. So there are factors out there. We'll have to see how this pans out. I think that our being very diligent, being very careful with any type of one-time monies is going to really, help us either get out of this quickly or like if we get one-time monies and we allocate it towards more expenditures, it's going to take us a lot longer.
Okay, part B to my second question. Sorry. So I just want to get clarification. Is there anything we can do currently to avoid the negative status from the county? For example, have an emergency meeting to look at other budget cuts for this year, or is it from potential, my understanding, because I haven't had a direct conversation with you, is that too late? Like the reductions should have been last year. So just, I would like to clarify, is there anything that can be done to avoid the the imminent classification that we're hearing is happening?
Because our expenditures, about 85 to 90% of them, are locked in salaries and benefits, and the remaining, I would say, the remaining 15%, a lot of them are costs that we do not have the ability to adjust, right? For example, energy and insurance and workers' comp and so on and so forth. That the gap is too large to be changed so quickly to avoid the negative certification. I do see an opportunity that as a district we continue to be vigilant in all our expenditures, that we can potentially end the year better. I do think there's a possibility of ending year better. Is that going to be 2 million? Is that going to be 1.9 million negative, or 2.2 is yet to be determined, right? So for the current year, I do not believe there's any immediate action we can take. For next year, there is still time and actions that the board has that they can take to bring us to positive certification.
Okay, with that, I'll pass it to Trustee Brown. You said you had additional questions, and I won't number them.
I just have one question with 7 sections.
7A, 7B.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just because I'm at this end of the table doesn't mean I've lost my humor. I was able to look up one of my questions. I was curious in terms of how much the DO is worth per year at the current list price, and I calculated it out to be $189K. And I know that's vacant, and I know the city has said that they are not going to take that. My main remaining question is, what impact does a negative certification have on any bond issuances that we might need to do in the future in order to continue to fund our construction?
The good news is we did go out for a sale last year, and I believe we have close to over $200 million, and we in our projections on the facility side, I think the next time we need to go out for a sale is in 2 years. So at this moment, it's not going to have any impact. Again, the rating agencies will do what they do. They may downgrade us, but it's not going to have any impact on the bonds that have been sold. Between now and the next time, if we improve our fiscal standing and our position, the bond ratings will note that, and if they have made an adjustment to our rating, they'll make an adjustment back up, and we'll hopefully be in good standing.
So the short answer is we have 2 years to improve.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
No, I'm going to cut off my other questions.
so what we're doing is we're borrowing from ourselves?
Correct. We are currently borrowing from ourselves. Yes.
Okay. And then I have 2 other questions, but they're related to other districts. And so my first question is, Dublin just got in trouble. They made a $3 million mistake because they said that something about positions not being filled. And so on slide 23, we have like 40 positions not being filled. How can we not make the same mistake that they made?
So what they did, and what we do not do that, is that every year there's a certain number of vacancies that a district will carry, right? It's just kind of the normal, that's the nature of it. You can't ever always have, every position filled. And so it's not uncommon to say, okay, it looks like on average we carry 30 or 40 vacancies, right? And because of that, I'm going to factor a vacancy savings, right, into it. Again, it's trying to be tight. It's trying to be lean, right? And so in that process, sometimes you can maybe not get it right. We did not do that. We did not do that.
My last question is, I was reading San Ramon's budget thing, And their LAO is completely different. They're saying that their fiscal outlook for schools is good, income tax is up, corporate tax and sales. I mean, so I'm wondering how ours is so different from theirs.
So,
The LAO.
not
fiscal
San Ramon, LAO. San Ramon has their own challenges.
Oh, yeah, but they're going to have a 4% reserve, and
Okay.
we have a negative.
Yeah. So San Ramon, again, I have not seen their latest budget. I did see, I believe I looked at their adopted budget. San Ramon made significant reductions last year, I think up to 25 to close to $30 million, right? And so if they're hitting those targets and their budget is holding, then I could see them being in that.
Thank you very much.
Trustee Jones, I think you said you had additional questions? Okay, so then it's perfect. I don't have any other questions myself, so I'll pass it back to the trustees for comments. So, Trustee Jones, you want to start?
Yeah. So, one, thank you for giving this and being willing to be in the most awful seat to be in right now for these questions. But I'm going to turn this specifically to the board and to our superintendent right now. There are a couple of things that I think that we as a board should do and give direction on. And one is I think the board and staff need to write we need to write a united letter, but also reach out to our assembly and state reps and tell them that there are 4 specific things we need. 1, we need the return of the Prop 98 funds that were delayed. We need them to keep COLA at 3% because the legislature is the final say on that COLA number. It doesn't have to stay at 2.3 or 2.5. It can remain at 3 if we put pressure on it. Also, we need to see if we can get them to restore the cuts to UPP funding, like after school, kids club, and other programs that they'd cut by about $500 per kid, because that would really help our funding here in Pleasanton as well. It's about $500 a kid, like I said. And we could also potentially there are people that are state, and it's not just our state and local, it's not just our state and our assembly people that are in our area. We can also reach out to, for example, Wahab is running for Congress in this area. She is a state senator. We could also call, email her and just be like, hey, you're trying to represent this area. This is something that's important to us. This is a way of showing your commitment in the state assembly. So reaching out to these people about that. Would the board be in favor of trying to set up those meetings and drafting letters like that to these members?
I would.
So I think those are really good suggestions, Trustee Jones. I would just also like to add to that another really good reason for you to apply for the CSBA delegate. Now, no joke, because you'll have access to CSBA, and because they may already be doing that, is what I'm trying to say. So a lot of that legwork might already be being done with the CSBA, because they also advocate for direction like that. So I think that would be great. And I do think that if there is a unanimous recommendation of support for that, then we can work with Dr. Geisels and staff to move forward with that.
Yeah, because the other
suggestion.
Yeah, because the other issue is I've talked to people like Rhodesia Ransom and these other ones, and their big issue is they hear a lot from the local labor partners, but from the actual individual boards themselves, like us, sure, CSBA might reach out, but us as the individual doesn't. And so they never know what we actually want. So this would be a way of doing that directly. Since it looks like we're in agreement on that one, my other recommendation would be for expanding Kids Club. Contractually, teachers we are only entitled to our classroom during the hours that we teach. After that classroom is available to the district and to everyone to use as they see fit. We have a ton of kids that are still on the waiting list for these kids clubs that could bring in a lot of revenue to this district and help also clear the number of unduplicated students and others that are waiting on that list. We don't need permission to use those rooms after school. I think it is time that we start using these classrooms that are available for access, moving Kids Club into their after school and getting the revenue funding from that we can get.
So I think those are good considerations. Once again, for time's sake, I'll defer back to Dr. Geisels to look at, and staff to look into that. I think that's a really good idea as well. So I think those are great recommendations. So I would like to pass it to other trustees for comments.
Yeah, so I'll make a couple broad comments. One is we do have the ability in 26, 27, and 27, 28 to potentially draw down some of the 11 million. I would not recommend we touch the 7 point whatever million, because that is needed to cover the 3%, but that is a tool in our toolbox that we have already committed to one of the to draw that down to 10.1, but we could potentially bring that down further if we can find one-time expenses for textbooks, technologies. I think there was a comment, buses, vans aren't committed in the next couple of years. So that is one lever that we do have. I do think there is a benefit, I hate to say it, in terms of having the services and a third set of eyes. And I hate being in a negative state, but at the same time, I do think the resources at the county and the state level are there for a reason, and it can be to our advantage to have a third set of eyes and engagement there. But I do have some concerns in terms of the variance that we're getting is smaller this time than last time, but is still a variance, and I do think having the additional oversight will help give us even more certainty than we have. So the 45-day was a rough cut. This is a much more refined cut, and I think there's less surprises there, but I do want that outside help. So.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Brown. Other comments? Trustee Carrion.
My only comment is that in January, I'm hoping that we have more of a conversation like what happens if things do not go well with the negotiations, because we still may need to come back and make cuts before March. So,
duly noted. Trustee Walker?
No, I don't really have any additional comments other than I concur with Trustee Jones's comment on writing to the state and the assembly people. I mean, I've talked to the Livermore and Dublin board presidents and Tri-Valley RLP, and we've reached out to Rebecca Bauer-Cahan and McNerney about changing over to an enrollment funded instead of ADA, and so we're waiting to hear back for that. But I think it's very important to leverage those contacts and be united as a board. And also, I think we need to be vigilant, like you said, Ahmad, and in all of our expenditures moving forward, so we can end in a better position this year than what we are in right now. But thank you for your presentation, and I appreciate all the work you've done.
Trustee Gersich, do you have any comments? Okay, so I guess I will conclude before asking for a motion to approve this item. I wanted to thank staff and Ahmad for the time put together. I always have to highlight, I appreciate the written reports, and I did take time to read through that to give us additional information and context. It's very, very helpful. I know there's a lot of information that you've been sharing and having information for the board to process and digest. That said, I do concur with my fellow trustees that I think we should be looking at what that might look like, another special board meeting for perhaps just the board, or perhaps it's a facility, the finance committee meeting, because at the end of the day, I'm frustrated, like my fellow trustees, that we knew this was coming, and I'm not going to belabor it on and on, but we are all in this together, and so part of this falls on us as a board, and having to make directive, immediate action and changes, as well as to staff, and us as a district as a whole. So that's why in the past I've wanted to have a very clear, different conversation of the budget deficit, the deficit spending, which we've been doing 4 to 5 years since I've been serving as a trustee, so this is no surprise. However, that being said, I think that the board could have been better prepared for being in our current status where we're at right now, because I think we're all a little shocked. And I understand that, you know, the district has exhausted options for looking to the county as well as to the state for how we can help basically support us. But at the end of the day, we're in this because of mistakes that we've done. And this is not until we can come back to say, okay, we're going to make these strategic long-term changes for how we're running the school district. We cannot go back out to the community asking for a parcel tax. So we have to deal with this first. So I do think and agree with Trustee Carry-On that we need to have because this is a serious matter. And I don't want to just chalk it off of, okay, a few more cycles and then we'll get over it. Like this, I am embarrassed to be in this state. So that being said, we're all accountable. We're going to have to do something about it. And I love Trustee Jones' comments as well. But we're going to have to get our sleeves back up and keep working. So thank you very much for a comprehensive presentation. So with that, if there's no other comments, I am looking, we do need to have a motion to approve the first interim budget report.
I'll make a motion to approve the 25-26 fiscal year first interim as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have the first and a second. We'll do a roll call. Preferential vote first.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 6-0 unanimous. Okay, it's 9:26, and we have quite a few other agenda items. And so I'm going to actually suggest we do a 5-minute break, and then we'll reconvene and then figure out a motion for how much more time we're going to have to extend the meeting. So 5 minutes. We'll come back at 9:31. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and resume at 9:32 p.m. I'm looking for a motion for time to extend the meeting past 10. Potentially, we have 45 minutes slated worth of items for presentations, unless the staff is confident that maybe they don't need 5 minutes per item. So I'm looking for we can only adjust the meeting one time, so I would prefer we add a buffer, and if we end earlier, that's great, but I'm looking for a motion for an extension past 10 p.m.
I'll motion that we do, there's no way we're going to hit it, but I motion that we do 10:30 just in case. We're not hitting it.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to extend the meeting to 10:30. We'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, so the motion passes 5-0. I'm going to ask the staff adjust their presentations to 3 minutes or less. Okay. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, good. All right. Okay, sorry. So the next item is C, discussion action, purchase of Windows laptops for staff device refresh. 3 minutes. Mike will be off after 3.
Testing? Test. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good evening, board. Here to talk to you about Windows staff device refresh. The Windows devices that we have before the board is 150 Windows-based laptops. The age of the laptops have reached their useful life cycle, having been purchased in the 2017-2018 year under Measure I-1 bond. At this point in time, we're starting to see deficiencies within those devices, battery usage, lack of ability to upgrade from Windows 10, which is obsolete by Microsoft, to go to Windows 11. And so with that, it's reached its useful life cycle under our technology operations plan. And so with that, I stand before you to let you know the administration recommends the Board of Trustees approve the purchase of 150 laptops under Measure I for $238,647.75.
Thank you for a record presentation. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm looking for questions.
The only question I have is, does this include Chromebooks or is this different? These are true Windows?
Just true Windows for staff.
Okay.
Other questions?
That's a Mac,
it's called a
would be
MacBook.
Windows, mostly at the secondary.
Other questions?
Sorry, was my mic on? I apologize.
Okay, I'm going to open this for open public comment. Seeing none?
Yeah, public comment. Did you open and close?
It's closed.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve.
Wait, hold on. Is there comments?
No comments.
Just want to give everyone an opportunity. Okay, go ahead, Trustee Brown.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, we are going to item D, which is a discussion action resolution we will not read for 2025-26.18 for authorization of Education Code 44831, local assignment options. So,
Thank you, President McCaughey.
yes, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Or less. This resolution authorizes the district's use of a local assignment option pursuant to Ed Code 44831, which allows school districts to make local staffing assignments as needed to employ individuals who hold a license issued by the Speech, Language, Pathology, and Audiology Board, and who have earned a master's degree in communications disorders to provide speech and language services. So while we've hired more staff this year, and that was alluded to earlier in the SLP area, due to a limited statewide candidate pool in this specialized service, the district has continued to experience recruitment challenges along with others. So this assignment authorizes the folks listed on the exhibit through this resolution and meet all applicable regulatory standards to serve in those positions for the district. So with that, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve resolution number 2526.18, authorization of Ed Code 4481, local assignment option.
Great, thank you. Questions? Yes, Trustee Carrion.
So I'm confused. Are they becoming employees or are they contract employees?
They would be becoming employees
Okay, because why it says there's no financial impact.
because they're already working in the contracted positions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will we have any savings?
In 2 to 3 months, didn't he say? Eventually.
Okay, other questions? Okay, we're going to open for public comment. Seeing none, I'll close it. We'll pass it back for any comments, and if there are no comments, then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, looking for a roll call vote, which is standard for a resolution anyways, but yes. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you to Marta. Okay, next is, this is a public hearing for a discussion action resolution 2025-2026.17, annual developer fees report and 5-year findings for 2024-2025. Are we able to do this within 3 minutes? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so Pleasanton Unified levies developer fees and is required to provide an annual update outlining how those outlining the fees and that the district collects as a result of residential and commercial development, as well as those fees that were expended. So during the 24-25 school year, Pleasanton Unified collected $2,532,014 from developers. We earned $112,228 in interest on those fees collected. We then spent $256,592 on leasing portables at Fairlands, Vintage Hills, Harvest Park, Amador Valley High School, Foothill High School, and Village High School, along with the development of a master plan and some legal fees. In the future, we will be using those developer fees for the Ellis Elementary School rebuild. And so with that, I'm sorry, this resolution was publicly posted, and with that, we would recommend adopting the resolution.
Okay, thank you very much, Aaron. Okay, so I'm going to pass it to the board for any questions. Yes, Trustee Jones.
I just wanted to check in. Have we made sure that the fees that we're collecting from this is keeping up with inflation and is as high as we can allow it to be?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be starting a study on that in the coming months. There is some potential room for that, but in the moment, we are maximizing those fees.
All right, here's hoping.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to open this for public comment. Seeing none, I'm going to close it, and I'm going to pass it for comments. I'd like to make one comment before we ask for a vote, but any other comments? Okay, I just wanted to state that, as already mentioned earlier, that the developer fees, I believe we increased the rate within the last 6 months. And you said it was $2 million that we collected?
We collected I'm sorry, let me get back up to that spot. We collected $2,532,014.
So this, I think, is a point of celebration that is something that we talk about developer fees vaguely. I know it's highlighted in a lot of reports that we get, but this is the time to recognize it. And so I just wanted to state that this is accolades for helping support the developer fees and how that will help the district financially. So with that, I'm looking for a motion for this resolution in a second.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-2026.17, accounting of developer fees and attached developer fee report and 5-year findings.
Second it.
Okay, we have a first and a second, and then we will do a roll call for the resolution as well. Trustee Brown?
Aye.
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 And aye. Resolution passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
I got a handful more.
No worries. Okay. So we have F, discussion action agreement with Swinerton Builders for the Education Option Center project, Village High School demolition of existing buildings. Back to you, Aaron.
Great. So this is fun and exciting project. Our work at the Education Option Center continues. So our next big milestone is the demolition. On October 22nd, we published a notice to bidders for the Village High School demolition project. We received 5 responsive bids, with the lowest bid by Swinerton Builders in the amount of $2,235,800. The scope of work includes abatement and demolition of buildings 100, 200, 300, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, STEAM on the Abbey side, and the admin building. This is also going to support the sale of the Bernal property, so this is a really important step in that process. The bid does exceed the budgeted amount. However, we will be providing a program level budget update at our next facility committee meeting, and we'll be talking about how we plan to address that. So for today, we're in good shape. We do recommend approving this bid. And then we'll talk about how the next steps to address that in the coming weeks.
Okay. Questions?
Can trustees come with a hard hat and a sledgehammer and kick it off?
At a very reasonable rental rate.
Touche.
Other questions?
No questions.
I have a procedural question. Because it's going with additional costs for approval, what is the sense of urgency to have this approved prior to the facility committee? Because normally I would recommend it go to the facility committee first and then bring it to the board. So I'd like to have that addressed so the board can feel comfortable. And then just maybe recap the differential of how much more expensive.
Okay. Yeah, so a couple of things here. The first is it's a timing issue, right? So the timing of the board meetings and the facility committee didn't line up, so we couldn't take one to the other. So by the time we got the bids, the board meeting was next up, and we do need to start this so that we can be ready for the next phase, which is the construction come March. So that's what's really driving this timing. What we'll be doing in the facility committee is we're going to give a program-wide budget update. So we're going to talk about some money that we've saved on some projects under Measure I. It's about $580,000. We're going to talk about some changes in state funding that we're expecting. We're going to talk about some extra interest that we anticipate earning and how that all feeds into a contingency calculation. And we're also going to talk about how much work we've completed to date and how much money we've already released from contingency. And so we feel very comfortable recommending the release of that contingency in that meeting. The variance right now is a little over $1 million, so not ideal, but it's also not something that is going to should be stopping our project.
Okay, so just one last question. If this is approved, when would this start?
Early January. So we need to then, between now and the start of this work, we'll be collecting bonds and insurance and doing all the front end work. That's why we need to get the contract in place.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So you saw what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll open it for public comment. I'll close it, seeing no comments. Looking for any, yes, comment?
I just wanted to thank you for this. This village has a special place in my heart, so I'm really excited, and it keeps it on track and on time, which is huge for me, especially with that whole property in the area. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. We're excited about it.
With no other comments, I will move to approve it.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Aaron. Okay, and it looks like the next item might be on your docket to share. Item G, discussion action contract for the inspector of record for the Foothill High School campus renovation project.
All right, so Foothill High School campus renovation project is underway, and again, another big milestone. So we finished demolition, we finished some of our underground utilities. So the next step is to start the construction, so that's the ground up part. We expect the Division of State Architect will provide a building permit within the next couple of months, so about February. That is a little bit behind, and we have provided updates on the timing there. That phase of work includes construction of the new theater and modernization of the gym. DSA does require that the district hire an on-site project inspector, and the project inspector's role is to monitor the construction and confirm that the work is constructed per the plans and specifications in accordance with the building codes. We did solicit proposals from 3 firms, and have identified United Inspection as the best value inspector on the project. The work will be performed on a time and materials basis with a not-to-exceed amount of $742,560. The budget does include an allowance for a second part-time inspector if DSA requires it. And sometimes that does happen on a large project, so we want to include the money now in case we need it so that we don't have to come back for a change order. So that's the rationale behind that. So with that, we would recommend awarding the contract to United Inspection.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, seeing no questions, open up for public comment. Seeing no questions, I'll close public comment. Any comments? If no comments, I'm looking for a motion in a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, a roll call vote, starting with Trustee Walker.
Aye.
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 Yes.
And yo. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is discussion H, discussion and action contract with Crawford and Associates for the material testing and special inspection on the Foothill High School campus renovations project. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. So again, another big milestone on Foothill, and part of our quality control process is that we contract with a materials testing and special inspection firm. This firm will perform materials testing and inspection in accordance with the plan, specifications, building code, such as welding, concrete sampling, rebar testing, etc. We did solicit proposals from 4 firms and determined that Crawford was the best value at a not-to-exceed amount of $416,000. The scope of the work is within budget, and with that, we'll turn it over to any questions.
Thank you, Aaron. Any questions? Okay. Public comment? No public comment? Comments or looking for a motion?
My only comment is that I can't see anything anymore. Its service is unavailable, so
Simply went down.
the server went down.
The Simply server went down.
So we can't see what you're talking about. So you'll have to just. We'll just be. Okay. Yeah.
All
So,
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. Yeah.
okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Carry on?
Which way you going? Aye.
Trustee Brown?
Absolutely.
Vice President? Aye. And yo. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. So is it my understanding the internet's down?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just Simply.
It's just Simply. It's just that we're just going to look over your shoulder.
Oh, okay. So for the next item, just make sure to give us the numbers in case we can't see it.
Sure.
And also for the benefit of our audience members and who people are watching on TV. So discussion action award of the lease back contract with Robert A. Bothman, construction for the Harvest Park Middle School field renovations project.
All right. So more exciting news. We're getting ready to start our fields at Harvest Park and Hart. So Hart will be the next item we talk about. The scope of the work at Harvest Park includes a new synthetic track and field along with landscaping and site improvements. The plans and specifications had been reviewed by the site principal and stakeholders, and our Division of State Architect has issued us a building permit, so we're ready to start work. We issued a request for a proposal in October soliciting proposals from leaseback entities. 3 proposals were submitted, which is great coverage. The proposals were scored by district staff, the architect, and the program manager. Scoring was based on criteria such as safety, expertise, price, staffing, schedule, and claims history. We determined that Robert A. Bothman was the best value contractor to perform the leaseback work. The amount of the contract is $4,737,044. The cost of the work is well within our budget. Work is scheduled to begin in January, weather permitting, so that's going to be a big underscore. We're all very excited to get it started, but January is typically one of our wetter months, so we do want to get started, but we do expect some impacts from weather. Absent any impacts from weather, we expect it to be done by the end of the summer to early fall, but weather, again, plays a role. So with that, I'll turn it over. If the trustees have any questions, happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much. So any questions, fellow trustees? Okay, public comment? Seeing none comments. If no comments, I'm looking for a motion and a second.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
I definitely approve.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I myself. So motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Going onward, discussion and action. Oh, sorry, we just did that one. Apologize. Discussion for J. Similar to I, it's lease contract with Robert A. Bothman, construction for the Hart Middle School field renovation project.
So good news, we're on track to get out of here by 10. So the Hart Middle School field renovation project includes asphalt play surface, new synthetic track and field, as well as landscaping and site improvements. The plans and specifications have again been reviewed by the site principal and stakeholders. DSA has issued a building permit, so we're ready to start work. We issued again an RFP in October, parallel with the RFP for Harvest Park, and we did receive 3 proposals. The proposals were scored again by district staff, the architect, and the program manager. Scoring was based on criteria, again, such as safety, expertise, pricing, staffing, schedule, and claims history. Based on the scoring, staff determined that Robert A. Bothman was the best value contractor to perform the leaseback work, and the contract amount is $6,556,338. The cost of work is well within our budget again, and the work is scheduled to begin this winter and be wrapping up for the fall 2026. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Public comment? Okay, seeing none. Closing public comment. Any comments? And if no comments, I'm looking for a motion.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you for the motion, Trustee Vice President Walker, and the second, Trustee Brown. With that, we'll do a roll call vote, and we can popcorn it. Just kidding. Just kidding. Trustee Carry-on.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Aye.
There you go. And yo. Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Last item before we move on to board requests and board reports and requests. K, discussion action approval of the contract with S&H Construction for the Valley View Transitional Kindergarten Building Increment 2 project. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. So design, permit, and bidding process for Valley View Increment 2 project is complete. As a reminder, the new playground, landscaping, and site improvements were included in Increment 1. So the scope of this project is the building itself. So the scope of Increment 2 includes construction in the new building, the sensory garden, and some limited accessibility improvements to the parking lot. The new building includes 2 classrooms, restrooms, and breakout spaces. The project was competitively bid, with the district receiving 10 bids, which is amazing coverage. Staff recommend awarding the project to S&H Construction in the amount of $4,735,460. This project will be complete in the winter of 2026 and occupied the following fall. It is slightly over budget. This one is give or take about $100,000 over budget, but there are a lot of allowances built into it. And so it actually may, by the time we're done, fall within the budget. But again, we're going to deal with this budget overage when we meet in the facility committee next week. And we do have a plan to address that.
Okay, questions? Okay, no questions. Then I will open it for public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. Comments?
Just want to say again, like, this is great for Valley View. Yeah. The kids are going to love this. They loved Increment 1, so I'm really excited for this to kick off.
Yeah, lots of good feedback on the playground.
And if no one else has any comments, I will move to approve.
Looking for a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
You are excused. Appreciate it. We're going to move to the end of the next item, which is board requests and reports. And so I'm going to pass it to my fellow trustees for whoever wants to start.
I'll start by saying it was fun going in the Christmas parade. I had the best ugly sweater among the group. I attended the PMS music. I missed the other middle school one because I was watching my 2 girls. And it is phenomenal to see the progression. I think I've said this before, just the progression between 6, 7, and 8. You really understand the impact that the teachers and the curriculum have. And Mr. A, as usual, is a great and comedic host. It was kind of fun in that the PMS principal dressed up as Santa and had a speaking part, kind of kicking off the finale where they had all 3 grades come together in one big band and did a great job. So that, and I went to the PPIE last meeting of the year. And they had good snacks, but no, it's a good bunch of people. They've worked really hard, and they're continuing to drive the donations that they're able to do on behalf of our students up every year, and this year is no exception. It's up from where it has been in the past, so they're doing a really great job there. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown.
I love the holiday parade. That was awesome. I went to a policy meeting. first time, and then a city liaison meeting, which is really good. I do have a couple requests, and they're basically on a very difficult subject. I really think that we need to talk about racism head on. And I know, Dr. Geisels, that you really want to get to the goals at hand, and I know you want to talk about equity, but I'd like to maybe have this agendized. And I'm also maybe like to have our community involved, maybe have a workshop, maybe have a guest speaker, maybe have our community involved. I think that we have some problems and we need to shine some light on it and have some solutions. And so those are my requests.
Okay, thank you.
I'll plus one on that request.
And plus 2.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Jones.
All right, so I too was at the holiday parade. It was my first time actually being in it since I was in marching band, so that was fun to have it in a different experience. My school site and my classes just finished the We the People regional at my school site. My class got in the top 3, but one of the other AP classes is going to be going, so I look forward to seeing Amador and Foothill at the state competition in February. I have a couple of requests as well. I agree with Mary Jo. I think we should do a workshop on like the discrimination against minority groups, the hate speech that's happening but to not just people of color, but LGBT and many of these other groups, and not just at Amador. But I think part of that extension is inviting into this our partners in our coalition, because one, I think this would be a great time for the district to highlight the things we actually are doing in this. What is our not just our board policy, but what are the actual procedures and steps that we're taking? Because we as a board know behind the scenes what's going on, but I don't think the community as a whole is able to see all of the work that from the sites all the way through that we are doing with staff. So I think that'd be good for them to know, but also to work with our partners that we have that have shown up all this time to look at what are strategies, solutions, and other things that we can do that they would be able to assist us with. My other 2 suggestions would be one would be a workshop. I know in January that we were looking at like the revenue and where we're at, but kind of like I brought up tonight, I think what we really need is a forum workshop that looks at revenue growth. And by doing that, I mean bringing in our community partners, plans and suggestions, the Chamber of Commerce, other orgs, and all these different groups to be like, what do you know? What do you recommend? What are the patterns that you see? And what can you implement that would join in for that? I have one other one, but would you guys also be potentially in favor of doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last one is, we just did our committees tonight. I think we may need to look at potentially adding another committee with a board member on it, and that would be an equity committee, where we have representatives from these different programs that work with our minority demographics to make sure that they have this voice to give recommendations, suggestions, and let us know what's going on and happening that we're missing, that they would then be able to bring and inform us about so that we can try to implement some of these things that need to be done in a better way.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Trustee Walker.
Okay, mine's quick. I went to a Tri-Valley RLP meeting on Wednesday evening, and I just want to highlight that they've already brought in $3 million worth of grant funding for this year, so it's very exciting. It's a nice meeting to go to when they have exciting and, positive certification. It was a very lovely meeting. So, and then I went to an Amador Valley High School athletic boosters meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I just have one report out in addition to the policy committee meeting that we went to in the City District Liaison Committee, which I really enjoyed serving, and I'm looking forward to passing the torch to my fellow trustees to join that committee. Is that I just lost my train of thought. I went to the delegate assembly the other week, and it was for Monday and Tuesday in Sacramento. I was able to drive up. It was very educational and amazing networking opportunity to meet with other trustees. I think if Charlie is elected, I think you will really enjoy the networking opportunity with other trustees across the state. They did cover, there were 4 different pillars that we as trustees were divided into to deal with like children, environment, at-risk student populations. Budget issues obviously was a big conversation. Some of the state changes and the tension and anticipation for the budget, COLA and things like that. But I will send a little more in detail summary about that. But I really enjoyed serving on that, and that was very enjoyable. And then lastly, I would just like to thank, I didn't really say it earlier, so I just wanted to take this time to thank former President Brown for the mentorship and leadership for leading the board this past year, and the collaboration for us as an entire board working together. We did have a really challenging year in working with the superintendent search, and 2 years since trustee, or 2 school years for you, Trustee Jones, collaborating and joining with us on the budget cuts that we've had to deal with. And so I think that the collaboration also with the district and Dr. Geisels and the staff to have us really work through some of the processes and procedures. I very much appreciated the collaboration. And also the unanimous vote for our elected offices this year is very much appreciated as well, and a tribute to our collaboration. I think back to another former trustee of Trustee Larson talking about how, reflecting on how, you know, changing and evolving as a trustee, and I just wanted to compliment all of us because we all learn in our roles as a trustee, and I really appreciate the collaboration and cohesiveness that we as a board have been working towards, and because that will only trickle downward. So thank you. So with that, our future meeting board dates, we have January 15th, 2026, regular board meeting. January 22nd, 2026 is our special board meeting. We have January 29th, 2026, a regular board meeting. And with that, at 10:06, we're going to officially adjourn this meeting. So happy holidays, everybody.